Hey everybody, it's the Tom and Gerry show. It's a bonus episode, don't you know?
Fucking hard to kill a bad thing, Tom.
For Demi that haven't crossed over the Venn diagram of Tom and Gerry show to Buckshot, you may or may not know that myself and Jerry McBride have done a bunch of episodes together over on that particular platform, but one in particular has been a special one that I think encapsulates what the Tom and Gerry show is all about. Isn't it, Jerry?
Yeah. This one, I think, has got Tom and Gerry show audience written all over it, Tom.
Exactly. So with the brainchild of Jerry was thinking, you know what we should do? We should introduce these good people who are yearning, because since we finished season 4, we've got a lot of people going, what the fuck, man? You just got me hooked again. And now all of a sudden you're just going to move away. That's what happens. It's like the end of the Gael Talk. Everybody's crying, going back to school. And now they just want one more little taster, Jerry.
So we just left. We're going to give you this one little bonus episode, like in P.S. I Love You, when he left a load of love letters for his missus after he died. As is best my understanding, Tom. I've never watched the movie or read the book, but I think that's the gist.
I'm going to take your word for that, Jerry McBride, because there will be divorce papers put on that table before I will watch that shit. And even in fairness, she knows full well that she wouldn't bother her whole trying to get me to watch that scutter anyway. But
you know what? I can live with Jared Butler. I can live with Hilary Swank, but then it's from the pen of the daughter of Bertie Ahern. It's only so fucking far in the water I can go, Tom.
Oh, Lord, save us and guard us. If ever there was a Catalina wine mixer fucking situation happened, that situation happened right there. Anyway.
Anyway, lest we wander off, Tom, we've got a bonus episode for the listeners of the Tom and Gerry podcast. They may have listened to it earlier on the Buckshot Podcast, as you said, but if you have listened to it already, listen to it again. What the fuck do you want from us? It's free money, you know?
You would have missed something, for sure. Over the length of podcast we did for that particular one, you definitely missed something.
Yeah. What we did was we went line by line through the hit song, Hit the Diff, picking up on all the things that you may or may not know about agriculture. And given that we're rolling into the summer, Tom, I think it's a timely time to spin this out again. What do you think?
That's a valid move. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. That is a valid move, literally.
I'm fucking playing 3D chess over here, Tom.
Lads are gracing nipples as we speak, ready to go. I can smell it out the window here, Jerry. I'm in the countryside and I can smell it out the window. The midges are up. This song couldn't come in at a better time, and our explanation of it.
Yeah, well, let's. I'll tell you what we'll do, Tom. What we're going to do right now is we're going to say thank you very much for tuning in from 2021, Tom and Gerry, and we're going to throw it over to 2020, Tom and Gerry, particularly 2020 Gerry with his primitive recording technology and crackly sound. What a fucking idiot! Who someone wants to go back in time right now, Terminator style, and tell that fucker to buy a decent microphone. But that notwithstanding, let's throw it over to a 2020 episode of Buckshot Podcast to hear Tom and Gerry break it down. Hit the diff.
I mean, we must admit, Tom, it's a song about a very niche subject.
You say niche, but there's 3 million rural people in Ireland, so it ain't that niche.
But it's not your conventional love song.
No, it's not a conventional love song. I like the way you said conventional, but it's still
not a conventional one.
There's a form of love there somewhere, like
it's right there, and if Come Out Ye Black and Tans come on, you can find out what people are talking about there. Tell your wife you won medals in Flanders. Where's Flanders? And then you look it up and it's all there. Oh, Flanders, right. Flanders is World War One, and these Black and Tans were fighting in World War One, and they did very well in World War One. Well, let's see how you do down around the lakes of Killashandra, which is in Cavan, which I wouldn't have thought would have had a high Black and Tan activity, but here you are, you know.
I'm sensing a theme of a podcast coming up here where we just find songs that live.
Yeah, it's songs that come on at 2 a.m. in a nightclub, broken down. But Hit the Diff is the one, and I knew you were the man to ask, Tom, because whereas you're like, an industry-leading culture. I feel like I'm culture adjacent at best. No. I'm like, this is like yourself being Roger Federer playing tennis against some lad that plays badminton the odd time. I can, a racket, ball, I can swing. I kind of know what you're up to, but I'm really going to need you to walk me through hit the diff, because I can sing every line of this song, but I would be lying to you and your listeners if I said I know exactly what Marty Mone is talking about.
Well, look, I don't think we'll be able to play an awful lot of this without actually getting copyright pulled and all the rest of it. And I don't think even Marty Mone can actually give clearance on it. Normally it's his record company and whatnot. But we'll play bits and pieces of it. So here I'll just play the chorus.
Oh, hit the diff and pray that she goes all the way. When I'm flat to the mat with the party hats, I'm heading for, they'd say. They thought we were quitting. Well, when the sun went down, with a flame from the pipe that drove all night to the view of the lit ran.
All right, so I think that's gotten people nicely fucking lubricated up, because immediately after this, I know for a fact at least 70% of my listeners are going to go and find this. Now, it has been copied. A chap called Richie Ramo has actually copied it, and he's cleaned it up way beyond. It's like sometimes you just can't. It's like driving a clean Land Rover. You know what I mean? You can't.
I had a couple of people that said they didn't like Hit the Diff, and I was like, bitch, what? And and they said, yeah, I don't like it, and they sent me the link of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's Richie Ramo. That's not Marty Mone. And there is a difference. I'm terribly sorry. The Richie Ramo version, and he seems like a nice chap, and I don't begrudge anybody making money for themselves, but it ain't it, man. It's not Hit the Diff. It's not it. It's the boys' version of It's Only Words. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
You want the Bee Gees, man. You want the OG.
Yeah, that's so. Do you know what? Let's jump straight on into it. So you searched and you sent them on to me. You sent the lyrics. You did a course. Yeah. Let me just bring them up here in front.
We've a slight problem, Tom, because the lyrics of Marty Mone easy to understand, young man, if you've got an ear for him, you know.
Yeah.
And I have it because I'm from up that direction myself, and Tom, you've an ear for it as well. If that's been played into Google Translate or Google Dictate to write out the words of this song, maybe not so much. But there was a lot of it that was sort of phonetically translated from Marty Mone singing. So we've got what we think is the most complete version of the lyrics, and if it's not right, it's not far wrong.
Okay, so I'll pull it up in front of you here. So, and I will share this with you now. So, here's the ones you sent on to me. So, do you want to talk us through the first couple of lines there? So, and or did you want to look at?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do, Tom. We'll tell you what we'll do, Tom. We'll go line for line through this and stay with me. But Tom, I'm gonna turn to you. If we could imagine this was an exam, I'll do my best. But every now and then I'll whisper over to you to see what we're on. So. The first problem, or rather the first mistake I made with this song, Tom, and for a long time, is that I thought it was all about the one subject, whereas in actual fact it's about...
Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
I thought this was all solely about cutting silage.
Oh, right.
And I think the most of it is. the majority of it is. But as the song goes on, I believe he also goes into re-sowing in the field as well, not just cutting.
There's quite a bit of agri. There's even a bit of construction talk in there too. But this is what this is all about. This is where we find the paths to freedom in the way of Hit the Diff, the gospel according to fucking Saint Marty Mone.
I mean, like even the first line, Tom, mowing, lifting, sowing, and baling. You don't all do all them things on the one day, but you do mow. And if I'm right, Tom, walk me through this here now.
Mm-hmm.
Mowing is when you have a field of grass and you need to convert it into fodder for your cattle in the winter. So you need to cut that shit down and get it to a shed in one way, shape, make, or form. Yes?
Yes, 100% correct.
This is the process of making silage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Step one is to mow it, Tom. Now, it's been a while since I've been around silage.
Right.
But as I understood it, the last time I saw silage cut, and Tom, I had a lot more hair on my head than I have now. Okay? I was only a wee boy, but it seemed to me to be a 3-step process that you would cut it, a machine would come and cut it.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, it was a 4-step process, if I'm right. Now, walk me through this. You would cut all the grass in your field with a machine, a big mower, looked like a big fucking lawnmower, pulling out the back of a tractor, and left you with just cut grass all over your field.
Yes.
And then another machine would come along and sort of toss that into rows, and it was like 2 whisks on the back of a tractor, and we'll put it into rows. Now I might be getting hay and silage mixed up here, Tom.
You are.
But then another machine would come and suck it up.
Yes. Suck it up. Yes.
And fuck it all into a tractor that was driving parallel to it.
Exactly. Yes.
Now that is if you're making a silage pit. If you want to make just one big fucking hunk of silage.
Yes. To clarify this for anybody wondering what the fuck is he on about in the way of a pit, this cut grass, much like your lawnmower where you dump your grass, over your neighbour's wall or into your brown bin, whichever, it is stored into a tractor. Now the process, you've jumped over a couple of processes there in the way of. Now also,
Tom, I swear to God,
people south of the Irish Mason-Dixon line call it silage because there's only one L, but it's you're fine because you're a Yankee and I'm talking Confederate talk here, but there is a process in the grass being transferred from the ground up through said sucking machine and into the tractor alongside, where an acidity is added to that grass for preservative.
Why don't we talk about this? Right,
yeah.
Go on.
So you'd often see the blue barrels. Everybody's seen these big 40-gallon drum blue barrels. They're plastic barrels.
Yeah.
They will fit directly onto one of these. It's the harvester that gets pulled behind the tractor.
Yes.
And the process, it will pass through a spray. It's sprayed straight into the grass as it passes up through that conveyor, out through the chute and in. And you'll smell it. There's an acidic smell of it. Cows love it. Also, there can be molasses added to it as well to give a sweetness to it. You'll see farmers, when it does get back to the pit, which is exactly as it sounds, it's normally a 3-sided, high-walled yard where literally thousands of tons of grass are stored. And you'll often see possibly the farmer's wife, for the want of a better phrase, or the youth will be out with buckets of salt, sprinkling it over as well, just that added bit of preservation, as you would back in olden times with salt and pork and salt and fish and all the rest of it. It's the very same for the cows' fodder.
You see, I knew that there was something added to the grass to make it keep. That's as much as I knew. I didn't know that process was done I didn't know it was done as the grass was being sucked up into the big giraffe neck, Tom. In fact, like, as I always pictured that in my mind, it was just you put all your grass in the pit, and then the farmer went out with like a bottle of stuff, like shaking back, and just shook it. Like it's fucking like a Saxo table salt sized thing, and just like shook it about the place. That was as much as I don't know where. I've never seen that done. Just my mind made that up, that was what happened.
Yeah, it's not. It's the least glamorous and most, I suppose. It's never spotted, but you'll see those blue barrels around the place, and they will clip. Now these days, a lot of the time,
are those Tom? Are those the blue barrels that you can sew in half and make a drinker out of if you're so inclined?
Now you're talking about it. Yeah, now you're talking about it. Yeah, those are the exact same acid barrels. Yeah,
I've never seen one of those barrels in the shape of a barrel, but I know it like folded out like a butterfly to make 2 drinkers.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's just to recap.
We're fucking 20 minutes in. We got as far as mowing and lifting.
So I suppose that, well, I mean, the lifting is the lifting of it. You know what I mean? There's nothing more.
That's the giraffe neck of it.
It is. But it's. I mean, look, the way the guy is using it, sewing has no business in that sentence. Essentially, if you are going to talk about what you're.
This is what threw me, because I'm like, because the rest of it is the mow it, lift it, bale it, bonk, bonk, bonk. I'm like, no way. Oh shit, Marty, you're throwing in a sewing in here. This is like a birth and death thing in the first line. It's like, yes, you sew what you lift, you bale what you lift. You can't have life without death, Tom. This is some fucking Semenya, circle of life shit here.
No.
One line.
Marty
a song
Mone,
about silage.
Marty Mone has kicked Simba down the stairs here just to make a song that actually rhymes. So, no, there is no circle of life here because the man has thrown in bailing into it as well. So you won't be doing any lifting in the way if you're going bailing. You won't be doing much drawing.
Right, see. That's two different things.
And also hauling, you're not really going to be hauling bales. Bales, people will see bales more often now because they are a lot more user-friendly in that you can just take one of these little giant black puddings and take it out to a feeder in the middle of a field or whatever at a time rather than having to buy a whole new piece of machinery to go peeling back the giant piece of plastic that they've put over the pit that we talked about. So almost nobody does pits anymore. It's nearly always baling nowadays, wrapped black plastic. Although you can see white ones and pink ones as well, but it's typically black plastic.
And is there a benefit, Tom, to having little sort of nuggets of bales, little nuggets to the fucking height of a man, against having a pit? Is it just like your own personal preference? You can do whatever you want, really, can you?
You can, but I mean, realistically, they're cost effective in that you've now cut off all the hauling. So you don't need to bring a team of 10 tractors out or 7 or 8 tractors out to go hauling it with these giant trailers back to a big pit. Now, it was always a great day on the farm when this would happen because every neighbour's haul is brought in. It was a great community event. It was like Quakers or something. There was always food being cooked in the kitchen because the men would be on the job from 5 a.m. until 10 or 12 or 1 o'clock at night. But no, the round bales all round are far, far superior because also you can transport them much easier. A farmer can go and take one and go feed his cattle up the top of the field, or he can move it around from place to place. So it's, you have to have one big designated concrete yard. So if you're a new farmer or, would need to, it's a lot of money to put in one of these huge big concrete pits to take all this stuff, you know what I mean?
And come here, out of curiosity, Tom, how many cattle would one bale feed for how long?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I have...
I'm like, now I understand, you're get used to this, Tom, because my kid is a little bit older than your kid, and when your kid starts talking, this is what it is all fucking day.
Is this, yeah.
Hey, you see that thing over there that you've no expertise on whatsoever? Why don't you go ahead and tell me every fucking thing about it? You start to make shit up,
One bale will fill one of those round feeders, the ones where cows can stick their heads through it. They're like a big old, hamster wheel turned on their side. It'll fill one of those to the neck pretty much when you burst it open. And I guess, I don't know, will 20 cattle get at it and do a good job of it over a day or two? I don't honestly know. It's a good long while since I did any of that kind of business. So will we move on? So the drawing and hauling.
The drawing and the hauling. See, I always would have said they were the one thing, Tom.
They are. Right? They absolutely are. You'd always draw silage and you'd always draw bales. You wouldn't really haul them. If you were hauling them, you'd probably be putting them on a truck. You might be selling a ton of good silage to the UK, which a lot of farmers do here, especially in the south. They would put it on a trailer and sell it to the UK. And now you're hauling when you've got a truck, Yeah,
hauling suggests a longer journey than drawing, right?
Yeah, drawing is typically from one of your fields back to your farm. So you're probably talking a kilometre or two, you know what I mean?
I can get that. Now, buck raking, Tom.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on buck raking?
My thoughts on buck raking is that it's not a thing. It's a bit of, it's kind of doing the rule, if you know what I mean. It's a phrase for when you're perhaps doing harm in a tractor, like when you're tearing up the ground, like when you take a divot when you're playing golf, you know what I mean? Like if you take a divot out of the ground when you do a golf swing, you're like, oh, I'm buck raking there. Or it could actually be something very academic.
Okay, well, let me just clarify exactly what it is, and I want you to just have a look at this.
It is a thing.
It is a thing, Jerry McBride. Have a look at this. This is a buck rake. And if you want to explain it to the audio listeners who aren't watching the video here, what are you seeing, Jerry? What are you seeing on the picture?
You can buy a buck rake.
You can buy a buck rake for either the front or the back of your tractor. And yeah, it does sound like a bit of an insult, no doubt. You fucking buck rake, but it isn't. It's actually...
Yeah, I always thought it was like you gulping, yeah.
No, it's actually a piece of machinery with forks sticking out the front of it, and it's for pushing essentially that big pit of silage that we were talking about. No, it's silage pits still go on. If your cattle are in close proximity, it is the cheaper option than doing a huge amount of bales. But some big farmers, you know, if you have 1,000 acres around you, or 1,500 or 2,000 acres around you, and all your cattle are in close proximity, a pit is probably the way to go.
Well, fuck me. That is a book rake, gang. If you, for those of you not looking at this on the podcast, it's after coming up on my thing. It's what is it, Tom? It's like a wall rid of fork.
Yeah. It's like a wall of steel put on the front of a track. It's like a snowplow with loads of teeth, spikes sticking out around the edges of it, the bottom and the sides primarily. It's so you can essentially push, because the tractors can dump it into that area, but they can't really put it up into a nice, neat pile. That thing will do a nice, neat pile on the front of it.
Well, Jesus, that's some machine. Tom, you see, this is why I knew that this podcast had to be done. Here's me blissfully wandering through life not knowing what a book rake was. And that's a book rake.
That's a book rake.
Excuse me, can I have a look at the book rake calendar there till I see what I can see?
So that's the explanation of the book rake to be book raking. So you can either go backwards or forwards with the thing. So it's for pushing, essentially. Right, so Gerry, we are the guts of 26 minutes into this, and we've only gotten to book raking. I know, it's interesting stuff, isn't it?
Well, do you know what it is, Tom? There's a lot I didn't know about agriculture. But like, we know Marty's a little all over the place. For example, his next line is backing, stacking, ploughing, crashing. Now, you're not going to do all them things in a row, Tom, hopefully.
No,
that's not a Saturday job. That's several Saturdays across the course of the year, right?
Yeah, your spot, like, this is like the lifting and stacking. You know what I mean? You're stacking. You'd probably be stacking small square. I would stack small square bales. Even though they are rectangular bales of hay or straw, you'd stack them.
But you'd also stack round bales. Now, I've seen round bales often if you'd be driving down the country and you'd see like a row of round bales and then another row of round bales on top of it, and then like, you know, messages painted on the side of it as to who was and wasn't welcome on your farm.
Yeah, feck off crows. Yeah, there's a great
feck
one
off crows
outside. Jesus, it's the poor man's Killarney. It's down. It's still a great town in Kerry, and it's famed. And you'll see when they replace one, they'll have to type in right back in the E or whatever, feck off crows. I would lean towards, though. I rarely would you say I'm heading out to the field to stack a few bales there. It's farming has gotten a bit fucking lonely. You know what I mean? Once upon a time, it took the neighborhood, you know, like they say, a village to raise a child or whatever. It took a neighborhood to go stacking bales. You go stacking bales for a week, you know,
yes.
But you would, with round bales, you fuck off and you do it yourself. You can even draw the trailer into the field yourself. You scoop them up with your little forks at the front and you put them up on the trailer. You know, it's a lonely out. It's not the crack it used to be. So I'd say Marty is harking back to the good old days. Even the small square bales are almost impossible to get nowadays. They've all gone big ones or big round ones.
I've seen these big ignorant square bales, and like, I don't know what it is, Tom. Like, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a farm, but for some reason when I see a square bale, I'm like, I don't fucking like that. I know what you're saying. I gave up farming a long time ago, but I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay.
And that's why there is no fun to be had in them. You can't chuck them around. You can't make. See what Gerry, I know for a fact, you went to local fields and you made forts with those small bales. Yeah.
And even when it was the round bales, Tom, I swear to God, if you had a row of round bales and you could leap from one to the next like you were fucking Super Mario.
Oh, Donkey Kong stuff. Yeah. I mean, absolutely lethal if one rolled over to, you know, your neck or whatever. But this is a song. There's no health and safety in this song. Basically,
he thankfully doesn't get it. His next one now is ploughing. Now, like, if I'm looking at him here saying ploughing, like, you're not ploughing your field in the middle of the summer, Tom. So one has to assume that Marty's talking about the ploughing championship here.
Possibly. No, that's going deep. I wonder, did he just swing it in there for alliteration? Did it fit?
Well, I'd say quite a lot of them he did, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, and just to confirm the backing too. Typically, you'd be backing up silage. So that would be in the trailers again. That's cut silage. That's not bales. So you'd be typically backing that up into the pit, which we discussed earlier in in the lecture. This is fucking
but like
weird.
at no point in the fucking silage generating process do you plough anything.
No,
Well,
absolutely not. No.
I think we established in early doors, Tom, that this is not all about silage, even though I was for many years under the impression that this was a silage song. It's not.
Well, I mean, we'll get to the chorus in a minute, and really that's the crux of it, is the line of the chorus. You'll see why it will refer to almost all of these activities. So as we all know, ploughing, if you are a tillage farmer, you won't do it for grass, for silage, because grass will fucking grow itself unless you wanted to sow something like a different type of grass that you bad old stuff growing, or some people go for ones like they go for a type of grass. It's elephant grass is what it's known as, and you'll get nearly 3 cuts of it a year. Arguably, it's not as dense, but realistically, you'll only be ploughing if you have wheat, barley, rape oil growing. These kind of things. That's the only time you'll be ploughing.
And you're like fuck all that. I want something else.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I need a new me. That's what I need. That's where ploughing comes in. New me, new field. Who dis?
So this is your glow up when you plough and plant barley. But again, well, Marty's all over the fucking place because he's ploughing in line 3, but he's sowing in line 1. He's arse backwards here.
Oh, every which way, because you'd sow then into said ploughed field.
Right.
You'd harrow first to break up those lines that you peeled out of the ground with those blades behind the tractor.
He should have got harrowing in here, Tom.
I cannot believe it's not in there.
But like if we know anything about Marty Mone, he probably has 4 other songs about harrowing.
There's so much agriculture to come from that.
Harrowing the field.
Oh, milking the tit. All these, it's like he will do anything.
Harrowing is just spelled like IN apostrophe, no G. Harrowing.
Yeah, exactly. Crashing is, so the line is back and stack and ploughing, crashing. Crashing is, it goes with the territory. I've pulled down many up here myself. And typically contractors, they're okay with it. Their insurances are huge. Because you will just by default, you're working 14-hour days, you're young, you're probably driving too fast, or you just don't know what size of the fucking vehicle you're driving, and you eventually will slap it into something. So the crashing is
the thing that always gets me is when you're drawing bales from fields next, like the width of the load tends to vary because you have your flatbed trailer or what have you. But yeah, I'm getting these all wrong, Tom. I can tell by the look on your face there. You're just sort of going like, McBride is out of his depth here.
I like the way it's going because this is, there's other people will be listening to this right now who even know far more than me are going, listen to these 2 fuckwits. But you're making me look...
I put it to you this, when I'm driving my car, I know the width of it. It's like a cat in the whiskers, I know where it's going to fit and I know where it's not going to fit. But like a trailer load of silage bales could be a little bit wider one trip than it would be the next. So I don't know how these lads aren't just like whipping piers out of it left, right and centre.
Yeah, honestly, phenomenally talented. And they love it. You know what I mean? They absolutely love it. And they will, they have, the trick to getting good at driving against ditches is driving without consequence, i.e. the first couple of cars you buy aren't worth more than fucking 200 quid. So you end up knowing... Do you get what I'm saying? So these lads have driven through gaps from one field to the next. So there are gaps in hedges. So if you fucking pull down a bit of a fucking old gate post, no biggie. So you do that a couple of 100 times, the width of your trailer, regardless of how it changes. Because chances are these days, you've probably loaded that trailer too, because the front of the tractor will have a set of prongs on it for picking up said round bales.
Of course.
And you'll have brought the trailer with you, loaded again. Again, the lonely life of a contractor.
This is all coming up, Tom.
I know.
The loneliness of the long distance.
Do you know what? I hope Marty listens to this and goes...
I really hope he does.
He'll have 6 new songs out of the shit we're talking right now anyway. The loneliness of
I hope he listens to all this like just absolutely furious because we missed all the metaphors. He's at home going like, no, this is a song about Bosnia. Why didn't you pick up on the this is a song about the fall of the Czech Republic.
This is the Moldovan struggle. How you fucking idiots.
You idiots took it at face value.
I want to see this song go to the Eurovision. I swear to God.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Tipping, rapping, Tom. Tipping, rapping. Tipping. Next line is tipping, rapping, tail doors flapping. And anytime I'm singing this song, and anytime I sing it, it's when it's on, because I don't not sing this song. The tail doors flapping is the bit where I always give it a wink. I'm like, tipping, rapping, tail doors flapping.
Well, this is really, he is bang on the money here. Like, that's a nice little line from anybody's, that's probably, I would imagine, one of his favorite lines in the whole thing, because you look through it, you won't get that. You just won't get that rhyming just off the tongue. Yes.
I know the tipping. Like, tipping is when you tip something up, that's all right. And rapping is, if anybody has never seen a round bale get wrapped, look it up on YouTube.
Get on it right now. Get on it right now.
Mesmerizing. We're talking like 2 ton of grass spinning like a fucking basketball on someone's finger while being cocooned. It's like in Lord of the Rings when the big spider came down and wrapped Frodo. Only it's fucking a 2 ton ball of grass. Just it's fucking mind blowing, Tom.
Well, do you know what's interesting too? If a crow were to pick, that's why a lot of people are changing from black plastic, even though it's the cheapest. They're changing to white or pink because crows are attracted to flappy, shiny black plastic. Now, if a crow pokes all the way through, because it'll end up being maybe, I don't know how many layers are on it, but it wraps and wraps and wraps and wraps. Let's say there's 7 or 8 layers of plastic over this thing, which, by the way, is typically collected by all farmers. They're all incentivized to collect it nowadays and send it for recycling. In case anybody's wondering where,
Tipping, rapping, recycling.
It
doesn't fit. No,
you can't even
leave this shit to Marty. He knows way more than it.
Way more. But if say crow picks all the way through in one little hole, it will rot in one direct line all the way through. That's why you'll often see like large farms and stuff like that. They'll have the likes of you'll hear what almost sounds like a gunshot going off every so often, and it isn't a gunshot. It is the makings of a bullet, but without the actual projectile. And a lot of wheat farms will have these too, where it'll just bang will go off. Crows everywhere. And crows, just after a while, they're smart. They'll stay away. They don't know whether it's a gun or not. They'll just stay away. Some people even employ a hawk for a week or two
to skate around,
to keep them clear.
That's I do know the banger you're talking about, and we just called it a banger. Or there's a banger going off. And it's a thing that just it's like if it's what should have been the scarecrow in Wizard of Oz. I don't want to see this guy made of straw come to life and want to get a brain. I want to see this fucking sentient robot shotgun fucking
just shooting blanks everywhere.
I'm shooting blanks. I gotta go to the wizard and learn how to not shoot blanks. And then he just at the end of the wizard's just like, you could fire all along, and the robot
pregnant
shotgun is just like fucking guns for fingers and blasting flying monkeys out of the sky. That's the ending of that movie I want to see.
I just wonder what way Wurzel Gummidge would have gone if that was the fucking case. I'd like a slice of tea and some,
Yeah, and some double R. Come here to me. Tail doors flapping is the one that there's something really nice about tail doors flapping, because that's when that's if I'm right, that's when you tip out your grass and your door is rigged in such a way that it hinges like a cat flap. Only
exactly from the top. You're spot on.
That's 12 foot wide by 12 foot high. And you empty out your grass and you empty out everything, and there's just this little moment where your tail door sort of flaps in the wind like a dog wagging his tail.
Yeah.
And that's when you're okay. That's one job done. We're done.
Yeah.
We've no grass, and my tail door is just flapping like a dog wagging his tail, and everybody's happy. And that's what do you do then, Tom? You fucking go do it again.
Exactly. Once she drops all the way down, that you see that hydraulic ram dropping all the way down, it'll just swing in the wind nice, and then boom, ting, 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 clip, and it just clips. There's no getting back
and
out.
off we go again.
There's no getting back out to hook it back up again. It'll clip itself. It's a latch of sorts. So yeah, it's that moment you're like, fucking lovely. Didn't kill anybody. Great. Yeah. That's big.
We're here now. We're at the height of the swing. We're not going up. We're not going down. We're just like, and now we're off again.
Yeah. There you go.
I feel that, man. I feel when Marty sings "Tail Doors Flapping," I feel that shit.
Do you? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how that's just like almost by osmosis through it. Like he really, I think that's the poetry of Marty Mone's writing, is that even you weren't fully sure, you were, you know, if I told you it was something else right now, you'd go, oh, okay.
Yeah, if you were to turn around to me and go like, yeah, well, actually, that's like the tail door's a little valve in the end.
Oh, don't worry.
We're getting 3,000 RPM.
We're pretty literal so far. To be true to the song, we're being pretty literal. Things are going to get fairly weird in a while. They get
well, this next one, Tom. This next one. Speaking of fucked up, this next phrase here now, this next line of Marty's, contains a phrase that I think is going to need to be pulled out a little bit. Sucking diesel.
Yeah.
Now you're sucking diesel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tom, I've been hearing of people sucking diesel for 35 of my 40 years. And
it's a phrase that will never go out of fashion. It will never go out of fashion.
I don't know where it came from. I mean, for the longest time, I thought it was like you were siphoning off diesel.
You see, you're from Monaghan, Gerry. You have to remember that. You're from Monaghan, where you
should fucking know, right?
You could actually be called County Diesel. That you could actually be called drop the Monaghan on Weenie or whatever you are. Just call it fucking Diesel County. That'd actually be a great name for Diesel Land. Yeah.
Diesel
Land. That big 7-foot wrestler, he retired to fucking clone us. See, I'm playing to my audience right here, right now. You're going, more wrestling talk, Tom.
Oh, shit, Tom. You've been doing your research too. But it's not sucking diesel as in I'm sucking diesel to I'm not robbing diesel so that now I have more diesel. But that would also work, I suppose. But really, this is let me tell you what I think it is, and then you can tell me how far wrong I am.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that the faster you're driving, the more diesel obviously you're going to use in a 1 hour period of time, and therefore the diesel is gushing through your engine quicker than it normally would. So you're
combustion engines brought to you by T. McBride.
You got a regular Henry Ford over here. I'm
what do you say? I'm about to invent this new diesel engine, star. Good Lord.
Feel free at any stage, Tom, to jump in here and
I was trying to catch you in the proverbial headlock there for a moment. It's just quietly there first.
It's obvious that I haven't a fucking clue here. So lay it on me, Tom.
You're 100% right. It is, but not just in the case of every form of machinery that you're driving, whether it be digger, dozer, tractor, truck. Once you're hauling big weight, you're going to be you're going to be drawing diesel like a fucking bastard. You know what I mean?
Burning through it.
You're burning through it, and it's never almost described as burning. It's even though technically that is what you're doing, it's always like sucking diesel, because these machineries they've a life of their own. Do you know what I mean? They become part of the person. So the machine is sucking diesel. You're both sucking diesel, and that's quite. And also when it comes. Some of the older machines, you'd hear it coming close to the end of the tank, and you would hear it go, and you don't want to ever get to that one you just did. You never want to get there, because all the filth at the bottom would get dragged into the filter. That's a ball burst, game over. Thanks for the use of the hall. New filter.
I was always told that by my dad, because I'd be like, oh, the orange light came on in the car. I've got another 50 miles I can drive around this thing. But my dad always said, don't drive your car down to the ashes, because you're just drawing up all
the shite at the bottom of the tank. Diesel especially is filthy. Filthy is, there's a lot of sediment in it, because it is a denser material than petrol. And hence why it's cheaper, because it hasn't been refined as much as petrol. It burns it doesn't burn as hot as petrol is. That's why you race cars with petrol and high octane fuels in them. But what it does is it has a stronger combustion, in that it offers more torque. That's not just for the Jesus Christ Almighty! Here we are again. We're already fucking like half an hour in, and I'm getting into torque. Let's move on. Let's move on.
But long and the short of it, when you say you're sucking diesel, that means your engine is sucking diesel out of the fuel tank very quickly.
Exactly.
It's drinking your milkshake and getting it all over.
If you're sucking diesel, you're working hard, basically.
And then cutting is cutting, and trucking. We've already. I mean, Marty, you've already hauled You've drawn this silage, you've hauled this silage, and now you're trucking this silage. All right, we get it, Marty. You're taking it from one place to the next.
Yeah, exactly. Spreading, piping, double clutching. Now, this could be a podcast in itself. You have no idea, GMAC, you have no idea the depth of this line.
Let me get this straight, Tom. I always thought, is spreading and piping two separate things?
Yes.
It's not. He's not spreading piping. Because I want to talk to you about that.
Let's hear it. Let's hear what you think spreading piping is.
I always thought that when you were spreading piping was when you had the machine that spread out the plastic that you sew things under. You might see it in a field at a certain time of year, and it's like sheets of plastic.
Yeah.
That stuff grows up through, and then the plastic itself biodegrades away to nothing. It's like and for some reason, Tom, and nobody told me that, I always thought that stuff was called piping. So I'm spreading piping. I'm spreading like this little polyurethane tunnel type of job.
Did you go into the bakery section of this song? I don't know where you found piping, but I love it. I love that. I just because we, and it's probably because the mushroom houses and things like that, when we were up home, we used to call them tunnels. Yeah. Well, it was a tunnel. It was a tunnel, right? And if you had like a greenhouse at the back, it was a tunnel. And these other things just looked like smaller versions of that. They put a tractor that wide. Yeah. It's normally, so I think it's potatoes typically they do under those strips, It's just like a smaller tunnel. And then I just put tunnel and pipe together in my head. And you were spreading pipe, and you were spreading this fucking shimmy. I'll be honest with you, I didn't grow up in a tillage area. County Meath would be a big tillage area. There'll be part of Tipperary, West Tipperary as you head for Kilkenny, or heading for the sunny southeast. Some of those parts would be where O'Donnell's crisp would come from. Would be heading for tillage area. And I see it going up the N2, going up home anytime I'm going up home. When you fly into Dublin Airport, you look down, you see all these little shiny lines. Now, I don't honestly know if that's called piping. I read that as two different words. Spreading and piping. Spreading slurry. Spreading slurry. But also, Gerry, hang on to your hat, piping slurry. Can you pipe slurry? Because I think this is a setup for a callback later in the song. Okay. So piping slurry. Now, I should have actually, I thought I got these pictures together for you to show it to you, but That's okay, don't worry. I'm painting a mental picture, Tom. So there are two forms of piping. Everybody knows spreading slurry. Everybody's seen slurry tanks. They come typically... If you haven't seen it, you've smelled it. Yeah. They come typically 1,600 litres up to, 3,500 for those big monster fucking trucks and those big monster, fields. Typically, the average one would be about 2,200. You go to a pig farm. Pigs... will I explain where slurry comes from? It's pig shit. It's pig shit. But yeah, okay, it's gotten from underneath slatted units anyway from pig. So they spread it on the field because it's a great fertilizer. Gotcha. Not long. Circle of life, Tom. Not long after cutting silage, it's often a good idea to get it onto your field, which it is illegal in this country to spread it during the rain because of runoff, top of the soil runoff into rivers and streams. Okay, and that's bad. Oh, well, it'll contaminate whatever's in there. You don't want... those rivers and streams... Nobody wants shit in the water, Tom. You know what? It's a phrase for life, Gerry. Nobody wants shit in the water. Don't muddy the water. And that phrase, I believe, means San Diego. No, it got... Now, some very smart people sought to... And in certain counties, you can't even spread on certain days. I don't know if religious or what, but on certain times you can't spread and all the rest of it. So very smart people, two ways of piping. So we'll go through the one that is still spreading, but it's piping, right? Okay. So this is known as an umbilical cord. So you have a tractor, say around the farm, right? Around the pig farm has 200, 300 acres of grasslands that needs to be spread with slurry. Now, they figure, why would I bring a slurry tank in to haul it from that, out to that field, back to the tank, out to that field? So the notion being that what you'll do is you'll sit a tractor with its tractor power and a motor at the tank and a huge big umbilical cord, i.e. like a 3-inch flexible pipe, will attach to the back of another tractor. He will drag it out into those fields. He'll have a mini motor at the back of his tractor spreading said slurry all across the field, dragging it back and forth without ever having to return. He's basically getting the shit piped to him. That's umbilical cord spreading.
Right.
Can you get what I'm saying?
Ken, I mean, like, I've never seen together the bits in me head. And I think I have it, but it seems like a way to get shite into your field, Tom.
Now, here's where we get real intricate. This is the other type of pipe and slurry. So, now you have a tanker on the back, or you may have the same umbilical system can be set up close to the tank, pumped out. But instead of just spreading it out on the field, they have I don't know how many, let's say 24 injectors that actually pump it down into the ground. At I don't know what the measurement is, but they will pump. Well, let's say it's every 2 foot. They'll jam it into the ground, pump a shot in, jam it into the ground, pump a shot in, and so on and so forth. So you never actually smell a slurry from that field. It's all under the soil.
Holy shit. Whose experience of this was seeing like a big fucking barrel with 2 wheels being drawn behind a tractor and just shit being put 50 feet into the sky. This all seems like very scientific.
You would not believe the level. I mean, this song doesn't do farming justice at the minute. Have you been to the ploughing championship of late?
No.
Oh my fucking Jesus! It is,
Tom. Like, you know, forget about it. Like I seen a tractor the other day with an iPad in it, and I was like, "What the fuck am I looking at here?" Because I remember when I was small, a fancy tractor had a cab.
Yeah.
You know, who does he think he is with a fucking roof on the tractor?
Yeah. So
now these things have like captain's chairs, like the fucking bridge of the Enterprise, you know.
So so I mean, you'd see these things that would blow your mind. I have a cousin. He's a doctor of what is it? He's a doctor of some sort of robotics anyway, and he works for Chagas developing these crazy fucking things. Like, I mean, if you think your phone and your car, people forget like that. Oh wait, 1/3 of the country's coffers comes from the agricultural industry. If you think what you work in has high tech, oh my fucking day, oh my days. Oh my days. This song, God bless it, but it is entry level. It is entry level for people learning about agriculture. It is astronomical, the level of tech that is in farming nowadays.
I'd imagine that like it's like you know the way the military gets the best of everything, like, you know, the military grade communications and all this kind of thing. I'd only imagine like that agriculture is only one step right beside it.
Oh, it gets all the moo. It gets all the moolah. So so those are the 3 forms of, from what I stand to be corrected. You might be 100% right. There'll be farming chaps listening to this going, for fuck's sake, Tom. But those are the 3 forms of spreading and piping. So you have umbilical, you have injection, and you have straight up tanking. Now.
What?
I know. All for shit.
That's I don't know what to tell you, Tom. Like, honestly, I really just thought it was like fill a tank with shit and go out and spread it behind you. Yeah,
you would, wouldn't you? Well,
and now that you've told me that that's illegal, Tom, I'm like, I've got a couple of boys to report.
Now, this is where the next part of that sentence, this line. So, spreading pipe and double clutching. Do you know what double clutching is? You've seen Fast and the Furious.
I was just going to say Fast and the Furious. That anything I know of double clutching comes from Fast and the Furious. Is there's a line in Fast and the Furious where he goes like in the first movie. And if you ask me how I know this so off by heart, I used to work in a place that sold tellies, and the Fast and the Furious was like the only DVD we had. And like, I honestly watched that first movie like fucking like honestly 600 times. SWAT came into my house, disrespect my whole family, and it was you to. And I'm like, and it's like I've watched that thing like a fucking 1,000 times. I close my eyes, I see it playing, right? And in that, Brian, Paul Walker's character, God rest him, burns his car out racing against Vin Diesel. And, he's all happy at the end of it. And he's like, I nearly beat you and all this kind of thing. And Vin Diesel's like, you never nearly beat me because you were granny shifting, not double clutching when you shoulda. And I'm like, I don't understand the fucking half of this, But here's Vin Diesel, a 40-year-old man playing a 22-year-old fucking DVD robber. So I'll take his fucking word for it, like.
Essentially what double clutching, it is exactly that. It's dipping the clutch twice but only changing that gear once.
But why would you do that?
Because what it does is it allows the engine speed to catch up with your gearbox speed, and there's a faster synchronization. So you actually end up, if you can do it really quickly, the gear change that you're not seeing underneath your feet and in around the engine bay is actually happening much faster if you can double clutch correctly.
All right, so let's just double clutch real quick here, Tom. Okay, so I'm driving my car. Okay, so we'll drive a car first, and I'm assuming we'll translate it to tractors because Tom, I've tried to do this in the car.
Of course, we all have.
I think one of the reasons why I failed is because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
It wasn't in the Citroen.
It wasn't the Citroen.
Yeah, listen, don't worry about it. It's
I'm going to be honest with you.
It wasn't entirely your fault.
Come the end of the day, come the end of days in the Citroen, that thing would go from second to fifth in one go without touching the clutch whatsoever.
Well, that kind of leads us to why Marty would be double clutching. We're talking about double clutching for race reasons here now, but we'll explain it.
We'll explain why he's doing it. Okay, so I'm driving. And in a conventional, on any given day, if I want to go from third gear to fourth gear, I'm driving, I would take my foot off the accelerator, put my foot down on the clutch, go from third to fourth, and then reverse the process. Clutch up, accelerator down, and drive.
Exactly. So
that's how I would drive. And I got to be honest with you, Tom, it's been doing me fine. I never didn't get where I wanted to go. I once said, if only this process was slightly more complicated and would fucking send me back to the future or whatever. Well, okay, so you walk me through how you double clutch from third to fourth.
Double clutch. So, same process.
You can make noises if you want.
So, that was the clutch for everybody listening. So, you'll clutch, deaccelerate, clutch at the same time. So, that's your movement. Take her out of gear. You will now clutch again, and then you'll dip the accelerator ever so slightly, which causes the engine speed to pick up and catch up and synchronize quickly with how your gear linkages. Now, only a good ear will do it for racing. You'll hear it, and you'll go, oh, here she is, bang, bang her in. So now you've clutched twice, revved once, got her into gear, and then you're back down revving again. So you clutch, take her out of gear, clutch again, rev a little, bang her into gear, and then you're off, back on the accelerator again.
Okay.
So the idea being, it's.
But to what end, Tom? It's
to speed it's to speed the engine up. It's to basically tell the engine catch up to fuck with the gear or to synchronize with your gear linkages movement. That's what it is.
It sounds like a fucking wonderful way to burn a clutch out.
Oh, it absolutely will. It absolutely fucking will. But what you're doing is you're forcing it to catch up, and a good ear will hear it synchronizing in and go clock. And then you're off. You haven't lost any lag. You know what I mean? You haven't lost any.
Right. You haven't lost that little sort of.
Exactly. Where it doesn't. You won't normally feel it in the car. You know, as you're clipping down a motorway, you won't really feel it. But if you're really horsing down the fucking road, say you're doing a ton 50 mile an hour, and you go from third to fourth, like you said, if there's 2 seconds being lost in that gear, you may get it done in a second, but by the time the clutch and the gear and the engine have caught up with each other, another second is probably lost.
Right.
And when you're Paul Walker or Vin Diesel, you can't be fucking losing seconds. You know what I mean?
When you're living your life a quarter mile at a time, Tom.
It's the Toretto way. You know, it always has been. Now, the reason why a man would be double clutching in agricultural terms would be going back to the tractors you were talking about with no cab, the old Ford Counties, things where the clutch is kind of half fucked. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go through the same process, probably to slow yourself down. But what you're doing is you're dipping it as hard as many times as you fucking can, and trying to catch the engine up to the, so you don't really need the clutch. Do you get me? So you're pulling it out of gear. A lot of the time, I've been in tractors with older guys, and they'll be fuck all clutching it. But what they'll do is they'll get the engine revs just up, and they'll go bang, and they'll bang it from, say, second to third, because what you've done is you've gotten it to synchronize, you've gotten it to mesh.
Right.
If they're both rotating at this, so they're going like this. One is going slightly slower than the other, as I'm spinning my fingers here for the audio listeners, and then you, if you rev the engine up and she catches up, now you're into the same. Bang.
You're into, and then
bang. So but double clutching is the notion that you would be able to try and do it, because probably a few bits are fucking missing out of your gearbox is what you're in need of. You're probably missing your synchro, which a lot of trucks have a synchronization system, because they have a high box and a low box. Like Paul Crowley, comedian and trucker, will tell you, he will ad nauseum will talk at length and about the different types of gearboxes you'd have in trucks. It's a kind of a trucking term more than it is a tractor term, really, like, to be honest with you.
All right, so Marty's not double clutching here, in a bid to get this field mode in a quicker or more efficient way. He's double clutching because
what he's driving is fucked, basically.
Double clutching because he fucking has to.
Yeah.
All right, okay. I mean, there you go.
I think that's the technical. We've got two more lines in this verse, and I think that's the technical stuff gone out of it. The rest of it, I think
we're getting it. I mean, the next line is fairly straightforward. I don't think we need to go line by line with it, Tom. Spinning, sliding, digging, rigging. Now, rigging might be the spinning, sliding. Yeah, you're going to spin and slide a little bit now, but
of course you are.
This is now that we're spinning and sliding and digging, Tom, that's going to get us to why a reason someone might hit a certain button in a little second here. But rigging. He's rigging something, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, rigging could be also a term for, you're driving your big rig. I mean, a lot of the lads
maybe he's on a fucking
northern
pirate ship for all we know.
A lot of the lads, he's fucking running up the rigging. Yeah. He's an old blue coat from back in the day, the sails. But it's a lot of the lads in the northern counties tend to call their trucks rigs. Right. They do still have CBs. They are living the eastbound down. They're
If it works.
Yeah. Hey, listen. That's where now we can get into a whole other thing. We can talk about where the origins of country music actually came from and bluegrass actually came from, and why those people are known from the Virginia hills as hillbillies. I bet you can't guess why they're known as hillbillies. Go on, take a stab.
I think this song here is kicking our ass at the minute.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Hillbillies. I don't know where did the billy come from. The hills. If they are from the hills, then where did the billy come from?
King William of Orange.
And how the fuck did he get over to America?
He didn't, but his followers of whether they be what do they call them? Scots Irish or Scots Northern Irish Scots, as well as Protestant Northern Irish people absconding to the Appalachian Trail.
Well, there you go.
And they brought their music with them, which, living that long in the mountains, ended up being bluegrass, which went on to become country.
And they became known as hillbillies.
Hillbillies. There you go.
Wow. There you go. I mean, I think it's amazing that they became known as hillbillies over there, and here in Ireland, the followers of William of Orange have no nicknames that I know of, Tom.
Moving swiftly along.
Raring, tearing, losing, winning. I think that, he's just really just thrown his hat down and said, right, fuck it, we're part of this world here. Yeah. We're raring to go. We're going to tear into this. Some you win, some you lose. You know what we need to do right now, Tom?
Before we actually, I need to put the brakes on you there, Gerry, because there's a dispute here I'm having. I've listened to it over again today because I thought I was losing my fucking mind. But I think this was the lyrics are wrong. I don't think it's
Google phonetically listening to a Monaghan man and not.
I think he's losing weight. He's losing fucking weight somewhere, heading to a way. Heading to a weighbridge. He's fucking shitting it because he's at 42 tons or something like that, and he's like, "Oh man."
I actually, now that you say that, I have actually picked that up a little bit in it, that he's raring, tearing, losing weight.
Yeah,
I have heard that. You're talking about when he's going to a weighbridge that he's intentionally losing weight.
Yeah, i.e. fell off the back of a truck. You know, I once came around a roundabout on the day of the Christmas holidays when I was in the building game, and I had 2 junior engineers with me, and we came around a roundabout at the Bandon Road roundabout in Cork, and a Mr. Kipling's truck door literally flew open just as we were exiting the roundabout. And French fancies and custards and all sorts were strewn all over the road, Mr. McBride. Well, I tell you, he was losing.
I thought all sorts were Barrett's, not Mr. Kipling.
Oh, well, no, sorry. Oh, Jesus, well, I'm sorry. All sorts of pastries. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. And I got sent to 2, but I said, get the fuck out. What for? It was like 7 o'clock. And I went, get out and get every one of those because your man just drove on and pulled in up further, and he was like waved his hand at the situation. I think, I mean, you could be losing stuff off the back. I mean, truckers all the time lose stuff off the back of their truck. But
if you've ever driven behind like a fucking lorry or a trailer load of loose silage, it sort of spills out the back. Like, it looks like water just falling out of it. You know, it's constantly spilling out of it as they're driving along behind the back.
I don't think it's an item. I don't think it's a harvested item. I think he would have said it otherwise. I genuinely think he's switched over into trucking here, and he's like, I need to get I'm 2 tons over, boys. I need to get this off before I hit the weighbridge because I'm going to get fucking goosed.
I mean, it's very possible that's what it is, Tom. And we've commended Marty Mone's songwriting abilities up to this point, but if that's indeed what it is, he missed a trick by not just saying losing, winning, because that's fucking sitting right there.
I may be totally wrong, but I hear losing weight, and we might be looking into it. Might be losing, winning, but we'll park it where it is, and we'll go on into where dreams happen.
Do you know what, Tom? The last thing we want to do here is overthink this song.
We say that fucking nearly 2 hours into.
We say that 2 hours in, and we're fucking 4 lines into it. we finally got to the chorus, Tom. We've got the first line down, and we got to the chorus. Yeah. So after raring and tearing, we now find we're spinning, we're sliding, we're digging, Tom. We're stuck in muck. So what can you do in a tractor? What can you do to get you out of this fucking hole, pal?
And of course, it is the line itself. It is, oh, hit the diff and pray.
I fucking love that so much.
It's so, there's so much Ireland in that song. There's just, my Lord. And pray that she goes all the way. So that's the entirety of the line. Is, oh, hit the diff. That's the
entirety of the line.
That she goes all the way.
And come here, Tom. We'll do what we're doing up to this point. Is I'll tell you what my layman's definition of the diff is.
I think I have a funny feeling you're not as dosh as you're making out.
I actually know this. And I'll tell you why. I know what the diff is. When I was in college, 20 fucking years ago, I was in college with a guy called Joe McCardle. If you're listening to it now, Joe, how are you keeping? And he had a tractor, and he taught me what the diff was. And anytime we were out fucking drinking, and it looked like the road was insurmountable to get home, and our legs were failing underneath us, Joe would shout out, hit the diff. Or he would shout, I don't think he said hit the diff. He would say, oh, time for the diff, or differ. You know,
differ would be actually, yeah.
And as my understanding about the diff, Tom, is the differential lock.
Yeah.
And when you press this button, where one wheel goes, all wheel goes. It's not a case of, oh, well, the front 2 wheels will turn at this, and the left wheel is moving a little bit faster than the right wheel. When you hit the differential lock, all 4 wheels turn at the same time.
Yeah. It's provided you're talking about all 4 wheels. Now you can have explain what a differential is.
Please do.
All right.
That's as near to the sun as I can get you, Tom. Take us the rest of the way.
So you have, let's operate with just a two-wheel system for the time being, right? So it's typically on a back-wheel drive car. If the power is being driven through the back wheels, i.e. BMWs, a lot of German cars, BMWs, Mercedes, Toyota twin cams, cars that tend, they normally say, steer from the rear. You'll hear this shit from lads who love a bit of drifting and all the rest of it.
I do believe Marty Mone has a fucking song called Steer from the Rear.
He does. And I think he's got one called Dip the Clutch as well. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I don't know where he gets it. I don't know where he gets it. Niche. Amazing. But a differential, typically what it is you have a straight bar as you would in an old pram, if you can imagine, two wheels, either end, you've got a straight bar, i.e. the axle. All well and good if you're going at slow speeds and you're going in a straight line. But if you need to take a tight bend, what will normally happen is both those wheels will want to turn at the same pace. And you'll end up getting, they have to turn at the same pace because they're on the same axle. They have no choice. Now, all of a sudden,
they can do about it.
One will start digging in on the left-hand side if you're making a left-hand turn, and the outer one will start scraping because they just don't know how to make a turn because they're the rear wheels. They don't have any turning arms on them.
Okay.
So what a differential is in the middle. If you imagine a couple of little cogs passing over each other that allow the wheels to change speed as per the traction under them. So you make a left-hand turn, that inside wheel goes a lot slower. The outside wheel, because it's got a bigger radius, can speed up.
I feel you.
Now, if you get bogged or you get one wheel caught on, say, a stone or some muck or whatever, and the outer wheel that has almost next to no traction, because you've got the differential on your axle and you've just no choice, it's there in almost all cars, all rear-wheel drive cars, the wheel will just spin away because there's no traction. Now, what it'll do is it offer 50% of the traction either way. Now, if you can lock the differential, i.e. a pin comes across and stops those two cogs, those two fucking twin cogs alongside each other, it'll stop them from spinning in separate directions or at separate speeds, and it'll force all the traction through the stuck one. So now what you've got is you're back to old school, one axle, fucking old school pram, and she digs in at that stage because now you've got no choice. You want to go in a straight line, you're stuck up to your bollocks, you're not doing any fancy turns. You just want to go at the same fucking time with 50-50 going through the back wheels. She'll dig in. And that's why you hear some lads with old twin cams and stuff like that. What they'll do is they'll either replace it with a limited slip differential, which allows you to do exactly that, just like a tractor, or the old 110 Defenders. Land Rovers used to have it as well. What the lads will do is they'll weld it up the fucking middle. You hear of lads, real culture lads, putting a weld up. Fuck that lad, which means she'll be an absolute bastard for going around bends. But if you want to do a donut at a crossroads, and you want to steer from the rear, then that's what you'll have done. A lot of cultures will have absolutely welded the shit out of their differential. Terrible yoke for car parks because she'll just screech going around every fucking corner. But if you want to do a donut, she'll do it fucking beautifully.
And if your tractor, for example, is stuck in 2 foot of muck, and you need to just get the hell out of it,
it stops your wheels. If you imagine your two wheels being two googly eyes going in all different directions, and you can't keep an eye on a fucking straight line, what it does is it slaps you across the back of the head and forces your two eyes to go dead straight. Monte fuck, lads, we're going dead straight. We'll need your googly eyes for all other times, i.e. turning, twisting, getting down roads and all the rest of it. But we're dug in here in muck and shit. We need you both to operate together in the same direction.
And you control that from your cab with, is it a switch, a button, a fucking...
Older ones, it was better being an older one because it was more tactile. It was actually a fucking lever. You'd go, plunk, and you'd feel that pin going across. Just like the old Land Rover Defenders used to have it. It was in between. You had high box, low box, regular gear stick, and you had your fucking lock your diff, baby. And she'd jump like a fucking hare over a fucking dog at the fucking Clonmel race. She would jump out of the fucking hole you need her in.
And that's what it was for. It would get you out of literally get you out of a hole.
Yeah. Or, if you were trying to, say, pull a stump out of a fucking bad old corner of a field or something like that, and you just didn't have the traction because your wheels were trying to be all, hey, man, we're independent, man. We just we just want to do our own thing and just help for the greater good. And the limited slip or the differential will just be locked and said, no, you two fucking idiots. Basically, it's like putting two, country leaders in a room that have been arguing for years over their different ideas.
You're not getting out of here.
I'm locking you in that fucking room until you can fucking find a way of getting this deal over the line.
And is it really the fucking last chance saloon that Marty sells it as? If you're stuck and the diff doesn't get you out of this hole, then nothing's getting you out of this hole, right? Like, you're not going to stay there and like be buried there. You're not going to have your fucking dinner brought to you every day. But like,
no, you go and get a bigger fucking yoke that can pull you out. That's what you fucking do. Like,
simple
you do.
As that. Yeah.
You go get a bigger.
It's not like yoke. Well, I guess I live here now.
Well, you'd be amazed. Some lads have amazing. Like, I heard of a guy the other day in a guy we were talking. He's a young guy. He's a digger driver, and man, he loves. Like, he would get this song tattooed down his back, like a fucking Aryan Brotherhood in the prisons, the way they get covered in tattoos of just writings from the Bible and stuff. That guy would get the entire song written down his chest. He fucking loves it. But he told me how we were talking about the Ford County, which were the first tractors to come out with the two sides, big fucking wheels front and back.
Yes.
And he was just talking about how his grandfather had this technique. If the thing ever got stuck or couldn't get out, it would always be brought to sort the situation out of pulling somebody else out. But even if it got fucking really bad, the tractor was so unbelievable that if you were able to get the wheels to turn at the same time with the diff locked, he was able to dig 4 holes under itself and then pull you out like a fucking winch. Actually winch you out of a thing. It was a phenomenal tractor. But that is the meat and bones of the diff. So what Marty is putting forward here is a situation where he's got a job to do in a field. He going by the first verse that he sung us there, he could be doing any number of jobs throughout the fucking year. Yeah. But right here, he is stuck in a hole, and he has 2 things that he needs to do: hit the diff and say a quick prayer. She goes all the way. Yeah.
And she goes all the way.
I mean, there's insinuations. I mean, you just need her to get there 10 feet away out of, all the way. Like, I mean, it almost, there's almost like, there's almost something sexual connotations I'm picking up from that second line there. I'm absolutely wrong. I know I am. But pray that she goes all the way. It's like, you know what? I get you. It rhymes. It rhymes.
And I think it's also just good for life. Like, there are certain situations in life, Tom, where everything you've been taught and everything you've been trained just fails you.
Yeah.
And like, all you can do is just have that moment where you're like, all right, Jesus, take the wheel. Here we go. We're fucking going.
It's called a leaving cert, Gerry. It's called a leaving cert. Yeah. That's what it's called.
And in this regards, it's just hit the diff and pray. That's it. If the fucking diff don't fail me now.
And literally, if it does fail you, you're walking the fuck back to wherever there's something bigger to take you out.
I love it. Hit the diff and pray that she goes all the way. When I'm flat to the mat with the party hats, I'm heading for the tea. Now, tell me, Tom, that Marty's not just making shit up here, right? I know flat to the mat is accelerator to the board, and we're going to go fucking...
Your foot down to the mat, which is, no tractor has a fucking mat, but it's a nice thing to say. You're flat to the mat, i.e. your accelerator is literally on the fucking floor. It can't go any further. You're doing all you can in the situation.
And he's heading for the tea. And I got to tell you, Tom, there's nothing nicer than tea on a farm with fucking wee triangle ham sandwiches. And I've had that.
My grandmother used to bring it in a glass bottle down to the field we were working in. But of course, she would load it with as much sugar to kill a fucking cow. She would just load it, and it was fantastic. It was fucking fantastic.
But I glossed over a line there.
You did.
He's heading for the tea, but he's flat to the mat with the party hats, Tom.
Yep.
You're gonna have to help me out there now.
I want to hear what you think there.
For the longest time, I thought there was a couple of things, Tom. For the longest time, I thought that he was actually wearing some sort of party hat. And not like a fucking party hat like what a fucking child would have at a child's birthday. Like a little party hat like I'm 4. In my mind, it was a cowboy hat. I don't know why that is, but I just... There was something very Bon Jovi about the whole thing. That he was wearing, the way you'd have like for every group of farmers that you'd have one guy that was a wee bit fucking wild, and liable to show up with a fucking actual 10-gallon hat. Now tell me I'm not lying. Tell me that there's not always just one fucking.
Oh no, you're 100% right.
One of a better phrase, one mad cunt.
Well, there's always that lad who will never marry. You know what I mean? He goes to Lisdoon.
Right.
He goes to List. There's no badness in him, but he goes to Lisdoon Varna every year. He probably goes to the Rose of Tralee as well. He can guzzle pints, and he lives and breathes fucking hydraulic fluid and fucking diesel, man. You know what I mean? He lives and breathes it. And like that, he might have spent a month visiting a brother in Canberra or Perth, and he ended up with this dry as a bone hat. You know the style? They're the...
Yes.
Yeah, and he's had it that long, it's the living shit is bed out of him. And he still talks about the time, how good it was in Australia.
I got that when I was in Australia. Yeah. And the only other thing that I had for this party hat, Tom, was that on the... I'm a fucking idiot here. I'm sorry. You're going to have to walk me through. But on the chimney of the tractor, the fucking... Yeah. The front exhaust.
Yeah.
That there's a little hat on it that flaps up and down when the exhaust is going. I guess
that's a really good. That's a really
stop the fucking rain going into it.
Yeah.
And I've seen them where they're like sort of conical party hat shaped, and I figured that if you were flat to the mat, that would be up, always up. It wouldn't be down. It would be up. So when you see the party hat up, you know that guy's going fast. Like if you were to see a picture of that tractor and you were to ask, is this tractor moving or stationary? You could look at the cone on the exhaust on the front, and if it was up, you would know that he was fucking burying the boot.
Yeah,
and that was what I thought the party hat was.
It's a decent one. Now, I think he probably would have said, with the party hat ripping, fucking standing up, or, you know what I mean? He's too much code in that, I think, with just leaving it with the party hat. So what I feel and what I've heard party hats, I've always thought fucking stupid, but what I've heard party hats to be, and flashing beacons, Gerry, is what flashing beacons, which by law all agricultural vehicles and construction vehicles are to have.
That's the party hat.
Party hats. So you'd have two of them. You'd have them, one at the front left-hand corner, one at the back right-hand corner over your shoulder. Woo woo, just swiping away. Like you're not going to see the fucking, the 20-ton, 300 horsepower fucking tractor, but bright fucking blue ripping against you, like hauling fucking 20 or whatever tons behind it. You're never going to see that, but you'll see those flashing beacons up the top for sure. They'll definitely save you. So
right.
I stand to be corrected. I would love to hear from the podcast listeners what they think they are. But I have it in my head, as I heard that song day one, as the party hats were flashing beacons, that they were flat. They were flat out. They were flat to the mat as well. Just fucking...
Are you sure it's not what I said, Tom? Which took several leaps in judgment to be even slightly right.
I would love... Marty's people... I will tag you in it because I know his PR or his social media people listen to the podcast. This will get to the man at some stage. He does a lot of long journeys. At some stage, this podcast will get to him. Judging by the rate we're going, it'll have to be a long fucking journey. Judging at the rate this podcast is fucking going.
It's around about here where he'll get real mad with us and throw his phone out the window because he's like, no, party hats is all about the Battle of Gallipoli. You stupid cunts.
There'll be a V8 outside your fucking window. We should have brought Paul Crowley in on this too. He fucking loves trucks. Like he told me so many phrases that they taught, never late in a V8, up 3 steps to heaven. All these, there's so many of them. It's just, right. So that's
so we're heading for the tea. Okay, so Tom, they thought that we were quitting when the sun went down, but with a flame from the pipe, we drove all night till the fuel ran out. I mean, there's something really nice about that.
Isn't there?
This man is not working a 9-to-5 job. It's not like when it's getting dark or we better quit. This guy is going to fucking plow on all night until the fuel ran out. Although, like I say, Tom, we've said earlier that it's not really great to let all your diesel run out.
No, you can't. You cannot let it all run out. And how people will maybe people listen to this will go, well, where's the fucking petrol station, Tom, in the middle of a field, Gerry?
It's just not there, right?
There is none. They contract, typically the lead contractor, the guy who owns all the tractors, or the lady. I don't know. Maybe there's some ladies who own contractors. There definitely is ladies involved in silage and
without a doubt.
agricultural contracting in the north of this country. For sure there is.
You telling me a woman can't hit a diff?
Oh, all day long.
But Tom, what's the machine? It's not a machine, no. What's the fuel? And I think it starts with a B. I can't think of the word.
Bowser. It's fun. It's the most fun word in construction or agriculture. It's the most fun word. Bowser, wasn't he?
He's the bad guy in Mario.
Wasn't he? Was he the little guy who hung around with? Or maybe it was the actual bad guy.
No, he's the
crocodile-looking guy, wasn't it?
Crocodile-looking fucker in Mario is Bowser.
They're known as Bowsers. They're the diesel tankers that normally get hauled behind a Toyota Land Cruiser, typically. And I'd be disappointed if there was any other form of vehicle pulling one of these into the middle of a field at 10 o'clock at night to keep the system going.
And I think the only other line that we need to pull apart here, Tom, was with a flame from the pipe. Now, in my mind, again, that's like a flame from the chimney.
Yeah.
Keep calling it chimney. Please jump in and correct me.
No, I will not.
Exhaust?
I will not. Keep calling it. Yeah, keep calling it that.
And will a flame emerge up there in the dark of the night?
Yeah. I mean, if your engine is blowing fucking hot, man, if you've been going for 10 hours, we're basically just stopping for, you don't stop even for, you're just stopping for.
Or tail doors flapping.
Yeah, well, tail doors flapping. Literally, you're just. So, I mean, you give her a serious fucking slap at exhaust, you will see sparks coming out the top of it. Even the pipe would start to run cherry red after a while, like if you're really going hard. I mean,
that's beautiful. It's beautiful to me that Marty's driving so long, so hard, so fast that fuck the lights, fuck everything else. I'm going by the fucking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer glow of the fucking chimney at the front.
Yeah. Pitchforks at fucking. This is amazing stuff.
You know what I'm going to tell you? John Lennon on his best day wrote this.
He is a folk hero that even fucking, they said Liam Clancy was one of the best folk writers of all time. Even Bob Dylan said he probably thought he was one of the greatest folk writers. I don't know. Yeah. Bob Dylan, have you fucking heard of Marty Mone? Have you? Have Flame from the Pipe. It invokes so many emotions in me right now. Just the thought of that.
It's take up your gun. It's take up your pitchfork. We've got a fucking flame from the pipe. We're going, pal. We're going to battle here. There's real battle connotations. Anyway, really like,
for the want of a better word, it's rousing. It is rousing. It is rousing stuff. That is, and
I'm only a wee fucking soft hands, Tom. And I wanna go fucking mow a bit of silage. Huh? Give me a yoke with plenty of poke.
There you go. Yeah. Now we're into the second verse. We're into the that was a nice. So I need to point out too. People will be listening to this going, I don't get it. You don't get it because this is a drug. Anything that has hydraulics, anything that is driven on diesel, it is a drug to these lads. That same chap that I was talking to, he works a 10-hour day driving a digger. He started driving diggers before he could barely stand. He was 3 years of age when they started him driving a digger. He'll stop after his 10-hour day. Then he'll go transport diggers for that same company on the back of a truck. And if he's not doing that, he's in a fucking tractor hauling grass or hauling something till the fucking flame came out of the pipe. This kid doesn't.
And if he's not doing that, Tom, he's looking up diggers online.
Oh, you know it. And it's not like people will go, oh, loser. Like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. This is a way of life, like.
And we will give him a yoke with plenty of poke, Tom. I mean, like, we know what that is. He wants something with a bit of grunt.
Yeah, so over 200 horsepower. You want something over 200 horsepower. Like, you're getting into proper range there when you're getting 200 horsepower, big old tractor. You'll get things out in Australia and stuff that do a few thousand acres, and they will be pulling through dry old land, and they're fucking plows and stuff behind them. They're like something out of fucking Judge Dredd.
This is it. This is what he gets into here in the second verse. This is the equation. This is like Marty Mone's fucking wish list here. A yoke with plenty of poke, a can of Easy Start, 1,500 acres, and 40 ton of grass. That's it. He's a happy man after that.
Now back up the truck there, because you see what he's implying with a can of Easy Start.
Let me tell you what I think this is, Tom. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been working. That's been setting us up.
This wasn't the
all night,
plan.
Tom.
This wasn't the plan. We were going to discuss it and have a crack and talk about it. But this has turned into questions and answers. Questions by Gerry, answers by Tom.
Easy Start is the stuff that I have known to like start fucking lawnmowers and shit. Like a little sort of like a little WD-40 spray oil kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That I guess is like more combustible or some shit.
It's lethal. It's fucking lethal. You spray it typically into the air box or the air intake, and that's the thing. If your car can't combust the diesel, because diesel is hard to crank sometimes. If say you don't have spark plugs like you do in a petrol car,
right? You
know what I mean. It comes under compression. Then the heat plugs kind of warm it up, and it sparks as a result of compression. Now, if you've lost compression in your engine, it's an old compression. You squirt some fucking Easy Start into it. It's like spraying a little bit of petrol into it, and it goes.
And that gets you going.
And that gets you going. Once you get one crank of those pistons going, you're off to the fucking race. Just don't stop her again. It's typically when they're cold.
That's what Marty needs here now. He needs a yoke with plenty of poke and a can of Easy, because once you start it, he's going to fucking go all day.
And that's why I'm raging. I don't know where I left the file of all the different vehicles. I gave you examples of the type of vehicles he's on about. Big old monsters of things, but they're old. They need Easy Start.
Right, this is my thing.
Like a TW35 Ford or a Ford County. Ford made some. The TW range started at TW20, TW30, TW35. That's when you're getting into big old tractors. This
is the thing, man. In my mind, Marty was driving like these fucking sleek yokes with fucking iPads in the walls. But what he's telling us,
there's no nostalgia in that. There's no love in a Lamborghini looking tractor. Although Lamborghini do make tractors, but yes. That's for another fucking podcast altogether. Unless you want me to tell you the story as to how Lamborghini came about.
Oh, we might save it for the end if we've time, Tom.
Correct. If we've time, who knows what time we have.
What Marty's telling us here now is that he doesn't give a fuck what you give him. He doesn't want comfort. He doesn't want, a Blaupunkt sound system. He wants any old piece of shit tractor. If you give him a kind of Easy Start that he can get it going, he's happy. And
it needs plenty of poke. Like, it needs to be able to haul ass. Like, in that.
Well, it needs to be able to haul at least 40 ton of grass. Going by the man's own sums here.
His own admission. Now, this is where my issue comes also with the numbers here. Now, 1,500 acres, no worries. That's a big old farm. That's possibly a couple of farms put together. Like, you go to Roscommon, that's pretty much Roscommon or Louth. But some big farms and 1,500 acres. I mean, these two lines hauling 40 ton of grass. I mean, those are just numbers he's throwing out there. But also, there's nobody hauling 40 ton of grass unless it's in round bales and you have a truck hauling it, because a truck's license is 40 ton weight limit. Your average silage slash silage trailer is anywhere from 14 to 16, sometimes 18 to 20, but that's max. You're not even going on public roads with a 20,
Right.
Yeah. I won't lie. On more than one occasion, I have looked up the Teagasc recommendations for trailer loading. I have. It's a difficult website to follow in some ways. Only even I'm kind of going, I don't fully, but 20 ton cut off max. Cut off.
Because honestly, I took Marty at his word here.
He may have a truck trailer. He may be taking it from one farm in round bale form, taking it on a big old low loader, they're known as, when it's just a flat body trailer, low load, taking it. He might be taking it to the UK. It might be high end silage, taking it to fucking pedigree cattle in fucking Herefordshire, where they've had a bad year for silage, where Ireland made a lot of money last year on selling silage to the UK because they got flooded so bad, or was the year before, they got flooded so badly. Ireland made a fortune at selling silage to the UK.
Money for old hay, Tom.
There you go. So that's just to clarify that. I don't believe it's a tractor and trailer that's pulling that 40 ton of grass.
You see, this means that it might actually be, a metaphor for World War II.
Are we talking Normandy or what do you?
Hauling 40 ton of something. I don't know. Anyway, we'll give Marty a license here and then that if he said that hauling 40 ton of grass was the only thing that would sound right in there,
it does sound right.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. Hauling 14 ton of grass also seems right and more likely. But you know what?
It doesn't sound as good, does it?
Anybody can be a critic, right, Tom?
When did you ever write number one?
When I fucking haul any grass, Tom.
Yeah. So
I love this next line. Take us through this next.
So it needs to be. If people haven't seen it printed, this is how it rolls. So I said goodbye before July to the woman in an awful rush. That's exactly how it's put together. There's no spacing. There's no punctuation. There's nothing there. So
yes,
we do need to break it down that harvesting of anything in the way of grass. Some guys, like this year, the field next he got his first cut in, I think he got it in early May. That have been unbelievable growth. So you are not going to be seeing your woman. So he said goodbye to her in an awful rush. That's what he said. Like, got the call. He was probably doing some shitty fucking job, only waiting for that call, like the rodeo cowboy, just waiting for that fucking call. Give me the call. And they're like, I have a fucking TW35 with your name written all over, but 2 cans of Easy, a fucking slab of Easy Start under the seat for you. And he's like, look, Catherine, I'll see you fucking... Yeah. I'll see you later.
Marty, what are we doing this evening? Well, I don't know what you're doing, love.
But next time we see you, we'll be doing Christmas, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, what would you like for Christmas? I mean, like, that's it. Like, as you said before, Tom, with these lads, it's a vocation. Like, it's the drug. So it's like, he's a young man. He's got a young lady by his side. And that's all nice, Tom. Not to like about it, but when he gets the shout to go do the grass, he's right. Listen, come here. See you around the Christmas. Good luck.
She knew what she was hitching her wagon to day one, Gerry. That's what I'm saying. She knew she was hitching her wagon to a grass man.
Even at that time, not even fucking texting her until Christmas is cold-blooded.
But what are you going to do? Lead her down the garden path? You know what I mean? You got to commit. You got to commit.
It was near. I'm sorry, Tom, but I gotta ask you a question. What the fuck is he doing near Christmas? Because I thought this was all a summer endeavour. It seems to me that he pulls up round about early October.
Yeah, but you're getting harvesting. You're talking about harvest season now. It's going to be autumn. We're about to start. We're the 1st of September. We're talking harvesting. I always get excited, even though it is my birthday month. Not for that. For some reason, something ingrained in me gets excited about the harvest month because it's just a fucking time of all the work that was put in. Grass is grass. It does its own fucking thing. Yes, you have to fertilize it throughout the year with different things, i.e. slurry. And then, if the nitrates aren't right in it, you got to balance that pH level with maybe 10-10-20, which is a man-made fertilizer, just to let you know, though also the same one that goes into a certain type of making, if you know what I mean. But the less said about that, the better. The harvesting is the wheat, the corn, the barley, mostly barley. We grow a lot of that in Ireland. A lot of good potatoes will be coming out soon. That kind of way. It's going to be an exciting couple of months, right up until October. Now, you might get fucking winter. You might get winter sowing out of it too. They've started to, we have the biodiversity of farming going on around the world. The amount of Irish farmers and farm educated people who are in the likes of Kenya and Zimbabwe, the breadbaskets of Africa, testing and teaching them about irrigation. Uncle of mine in the early 80s spent 6 years on and off teaching Saudi farmers how to irrigate.
I've heard this was a thing.
Yeah, fortune to be made of it.
Someone that says, my uncle or my dad or like my granddad or whoever it was in Saudi Arabia. I have heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
So
would it take you up to Christmas though, Tom?
Well, we're going. Also, I believe this is a setup. I think this is a setup. I think this is a setup for another part of the song that's going to call back later on down the line.
So his next line, I found a seat, but no bread. Now, he's got a lot going on here now. And I appreciate that maybe his brakes are failing him and he can't keep the engine going on. But when he says he found a seat, does he mean to say he actually found a seat that he could sit in, or did he, in my layman's terms here, did he find seating in together in a way that he found pleasing, or am I just making shit up?
I think you're making shit wildly up there. I took it as if.
But surely he didn't find a seat to sit on.
No. I'm trying to find an example that you definitely would know about. So, Top Gun, right?
Right.
Top Gun. Exact same phrase. I got a seat. They use the exact same phrase when they basically, I got a seat on a fucking plane. I'm back. I got my wings.
All right. So basically, he got a job.
He got a job. So a contractor. He found a contractor that was in need of a man.
Okay. So he found a seat,
Mm-hmm.
but he had. Now, is that actual brakes in the tractor, or is that just like he had no stop?
Oh, no. I believe brakes were gone in the fucking tractor. Genuinely, the amount of vehicles that I've sat into, and you're going, is the brakes? No, what's the fucking point? You're going to be using your gears basically to slow you down. You know what I mean?
So even though this tractor that he had in his next lane, he said with loads of power, despite the fact that he had loads of power, Tom, he was behind an hour. I mean, like, you know, is it that regulated time-wise that, you know, you have X amount of grass out of this field in such a time, or I feel and don't come out of it until all the grass is gone?
I think there might be a crossover there of two different trades. I think behind an hour might be racing to the boat with a truck.
Gotcha.
I think that's where, because there isn't. I mean, farmers, you know, and farming contractors are normally farmers too. You know, who has a watch? What do you need a watch for? You know what I mean? Keep going till she fucking rains. You know what I mean? Now, this is an interesting one. So I found a seat. I had no brakes. Couldn't keep it cool. Quite literally, those are two major fucking problems that you will have in every old vehicle. You're not sucking in enough air, that you haven't given it enough time to cool down. The brakes, there you go. Had no fucking brakes. So he got a seat. In other words, he got a tractor, got a job, but the fucking thing had no fucking brakes. That's where we need a punctuation right there. Because now we're on to, I couldn't keep it cool. Fucking thing was overheating. Flame from the pipe, Gerry. Flame from the pipe. Already, we were forewarned. We were forewarned about this.
This thing is fucking running hot, but he's running 10 hours in a go.
Exactly.
And the fact that he couldn't keep it cool, Tom, suggests that there are ways to keep it cool.
There is. I mean, you normally get out on the open road, suck some air through the rad. But you know what? I mean, if you've got a thermostat...
I've been here, Tom. I've been here with a fucking radiator that was malfunctioning, and I'll tell you the advances. And I was told that the only way to keep the yoke cool, if you see it rising up, is to either stop the car or drive the car, one or the other.
With loads of... Yeah, that's exactly it. No, I only replaced the thermostat in my own vehicle the other day. She was giving a bit of jip, and I could hear the little spring inside twanging. It was a shot in the dark. Turns out it works. Thank Christ.
Look at
that. Thank Christ it worked. So again, it isn't. There's methods to keeping it cool. Probably topping it up with coolant. If the water pump is pissing out fucking coolant everywhere, he's probably he's in the middle of a field with no access to water. You know,
is it possible, Tom, that he can't keep himself cool? That he's losing the head a wee bit with this piece of shit tractor?
Yeah, I you know what? It's such a common occurrence in older tractors. I would say it's probably as literal as it sounds. Couldn't keep it cool. Literally, the fucking thing is overheating on me, and I haven't. You know what I mean?
Marty really is the master of the single entendre when it comes to tractors here.
Yeah.
If he says he can't keep it cool, the fucking thing's going hot. But he has all the power that he wants, but he's running behind an hour. So what does he do, Tom? He gives the pump a screw.
Yeah.
What pump? What pump, Tom? What is this thing?
This is right up there.
What the fuck is this man talking about?
This is up there with sucking diesel, Gerry. It's as old as the hills. You know what I mean? It's like that great phrase, never sweat the small stuff. Who knows what it fucking means? But it means get her fucking gone. You know? The pump a screw. It was explained to me when I pulled somebody up on this phrase, give that pump a screw. And quite literally, it is to do with like, it was a way of kind of opening up it's opening up a valve on a pipe that something is flowing through. Most likely a water pump. Give that pump a screw, i.e., open up that valve another bit, lift up the sluice gate, fucking let all that diesel through because we need to go.
We're behind the time here. Do you want to hear my fucking nonsense reading on give the pump a screw?
Yeah.
And some of this is just picked out of the sky, Tom, and some of it has some basis in reality. I remember one place I used to work had a forklift, and it had like the crudest limiter on the speed that you ever seen in your life. Underneath the accelerator pedal, there was like the head of a bolt coming up through the...
That's some Father Ted shit, isn't it?
And like, it wasn't something that somebody had done. It had been part of the forklift that they just put like an M8 bolt into a thing, and depending on how far down you put it was how far you could press the pedal of the...
Do you know what that reminds me of? That every single washing machine on the planet has a fucking standard 15 Newton concrete block in it.
Right, yes.
The exact same thing.
Exactly.
It's like
to stop it from jumping off the fucking rails.
Yeah, but just like that, the company whoever made it, was it Lieber or somebody probably made the forklift at some stage. They went,
well, like,
could we not just make a shorter fucking pedal? Not they're the same pedal.
Not everybody wants it. What you want to do is sell it as is, and if you want your employees not to be rallying around the backyard, which we did all the time, Tom.
Yeah, of course.
You put this very crude limitation device on it. So in my mind, there's one of these on Marty's tractor, and he's like, get that fucking thing out, screw that thing out and fuck it away.
Do you know what? I prefer your version. Fuck it. But if this is an alternate reality, I want this to happen.
If we've learned anything from Marty and tractors in general, is that no farmer, no contractor would put such a thing on a tractor. Nobody wants these things to fucking go slow, Tom.
Oh, no.
Nobody's trying to slow this process
down.
You
have to understand, you have to grow up very fucking quickly if you're put in a tractor. You know what I mean? You there's nobody going, hey, you know what, take your time, just work through it. And, call me anytime you're not, call me anytime that you're not sure about a situation. It's getting that fucking thing and don't come out of it until I meet you tonight with a new packet of fags for you and a fucking and a bottle of Lucasade and a fucking fill of diesel. That's it. And go as fucking hard as you can. You got to grow up a real fucking, because we're in a country that rains a shit ton. And if it rains to the point that you can't get in at fields, the farmer can't get his silage, the fucking contractor can't get his fucking payment. He might have €1 million fucking overhead with fucking loans out to the bank. There is no feeling sorry for you. It is do it and do it fucking fast and hard and don't fucking break anything if you can. But if you break something, fucking break it right off so I can claim it on the insurance.
But aren't they lucky, Tom, that the kind of people that sign up for this kind of thing are the kind of people that are just like, hey, yeah, fine. That's my kind of, yeah.
Yeah. There is no interview process in this. It's done. Is he good? Grant. Fine. That's it. That's how you get a seat, Gerry. That's how you get a seat to the party. That's how you get a seat.
This is like the Spartans putting the Gazans out at 8 years of age into the forests with the wolves. You either come out of it or you don't.
Before I started to drive a car at age 7, which I think we talked about on our if anybody's never heard of the two of us and you just stumbled on this, search fucking Tom and Gerry podcast. It's up somewhere on something. Well, we definitely talked about how I started driving a Datsun Cherry at age 7 and wanted to drive it to my communion. But not only a month or two before that, the first tractor I drove was a Massey 35 with no cab. Fantastic traction. Traction. Didn't need to lock the diff in this thing ever. It would come in and out of any fucking hole. And it was started with a nail. And I was left, that job was left to me. Stay in that fucking field, don't hit anything. And just, I was basically went in after the hay had been turned or had been cut. I was to go in and turn it over. So it dried on the other side as well. So I just stayed and I went, okay. My voice hadn't broken. I'm just sitting on a tractor for 5 hours. And that's beautiful. The discipline that teaches you to not kill yourself, but more so, don't kill yourself out of fear of getting in trouble from killing yourself, because you would get the arse slapped off you dead. Do you know? It wasn't fear of dying; it was fear of disappointing people.
I mean, like Marty here, it has to be says, shares your optimism, Tom, because as by his own words here, he's out all night. And this yoke really does seem like, yeah, now that I know what you're talking about, that you got to see, okay, so we got a job, but this is an old piece of shit tractor. He's out all night with no lights. So this thing doesn't even have fucking lights. He's just driving around in the dark.
That's a common occurrence. That's a very common occurrence. Again, just like the brakes, these things are what are known in the vehicular industry as consumables. Light bulbs, brake pads, fucking tires. These things are consumables. And you will only get them if they're absolutely fucking necessary. But you won't be going, hey, I've pulled over here. Yeah, can you drop down some bulbs the next time you're on the way?
The lumens on these are a wee bit low.
Because man, woman, or child on the other end of that phone, you will get chewed out of it so fucking much. You'll just be hung up on, for one. And then the next time they'll come down and go, that was a funny one about the bulbs, you gas bastard. You weren't fucking serious, were you?
I'll fucking tell you what's getting better again, Tom. You will be nicknamed Bulbs for the rest of your fucking life.
Till you fucking die. And you'll have to invent a story.
Why did they call him Bulbs? I was driving around in the dark one night, asked for bulbs.
Fucking get him. Looking for fucking
bulbs.
Fucking Edison over there, what? Huh? Jesus Christ.
Well, Marty doesn't want bulbs. He's grand. He's got no lights. He's only seeing stars and the gloom from the moon and the diesel light in the dash. Now, once again, Tom, he's letting it fucking run a wee bit low on diesel for anyone's life.
Exactly.
But I got to tell you one thing, Tom. The line and the gloom from the moon, as delivered in Marty Mone cadence, there has never been a more monon line in a song.
I often thought about it because I'm like, the gloom from the moon. I'm like, I hear it.
From the moon.
Maybe, is it correct? Is that the line correct? The gloom from the moon?
The gloom from the moon. A moon would generally be bright, I suppose, unless there's a cloud passing over it.
Jeez, I mean, I read it to be one really depressing moon, like the gloom from the moon. It's like, Marty, you had me up, you know, and then all of a sudden you're talking about like gloomy moons. Jesus, man. This is this is Waylon Jennings shit. This is like,
I thought it was all a love song to tractors and the such like, but this verse here, from when he had the job in a tractor that had no brakes, that was impossible to keep cool, that he was running behind time, and he was out all night like with fucking no diesel on a fucking pissy, miserable, gloomy afternoon. This is the fact that this tractor shit, Tom, it ain't all gravy. It doesn't appear to be. This seems to be the downer paragraph, the downer verse.
So, it is. But
luckily enough, he picks it up again. Now we launch straight back into the fucking chorus again, which I don't think any of us needs.
I think what that particular verse, like you said, there's a lot of negatives in that. But what it does, it's the making of you. This is the verse where you put on your big boy trousers, and this is this is what separates the kind of person who could do this job from the person who couldn't. Most people would look at that and go, it's got no brakes. The thing is overheating.
I'm out all fucking night.
I'm breaking my bollocks and I'm still behind an hour. Are you I'm out in the night. They haven't given me any lights and there's a gloom off the moon. And now I'm running out of no, fuck this. And no support system, no HR, no fucking nothing. Are you joking me? I mean, if you're behind an hour, you clearly haven't had any lunch, no sick pay. Are you fucking joking me? You better be dead or dying. Simple as that.
I mean, we can even throw it in here if we want to mix it up a wee bit, that he couldn't keep it cool, that might be Marty losing his cool, and he's only seeing stars, like he's actually getting fucking dizzy from hunger. And
let's double entendre. Let's make it both. Fuck it. Let's make it both.
It all in there. So this tractor shit ain't all gravy. I mean, like, you kind of had me up the way a wee bit there, but now I'm not seeing the missus until Christmas, and you know, that's you know.
But you know what? It's the same. It's the same rules for Navy SEALs, basically, Gerry. That's what it is. Same rules for Navy SEAls. This song is very revealing. In fairness, I'm amazed he was allowed to actually fucking publish this. It's
behind the curtain.
So we're into the chorus again. So
we're into the
more
chorus.
lifting, sewing, baling, drawing, hauling, and buck raking, back and stacking, ploughing, crashing, tipping, rapping, taildoors flapping. Give the wink, sucking diesel, cutting, trucking, spreading, piping, double, clutching, spinning, sliding, digging, rigging, rearing, tearing, losing weight, we believe. Hit the different praise. She goes all the way. Went flat to the mat with the party hats as I'm heading for
I'm
the tea.
heading for the tea.
Well, I thought that we were quitting when the sun went down. With a flame from the pipe, go on out of that. We drove all night till the fuel it ran out.
Now, Tom. Now we're in.
So this is possibly the explanation for the 40 ton.
Well, this I got to tell you, this next one is where he saved. This last verse, Tom, is fucking impenetrable. I'm going to break your heart on more. This is the fucking Finnegan's Wake of track or something. Not two words in this thing makes fucking sense.
What's your man's one? The fucking is it Homer's Odyssey? No, what is the one? Bloomsday. What's Bloomsday?
Bloomsday. Ulysses. Yeah. Now apparently you have Ulysses, which is hard, and then
Ulysses,
which is just like Joyce taking the piss altogether, and that's what I fucking think Marty's doing here, because none of this makes sense.
Okay, all right.
Overload, Tom, on a downhill road, slapping through the gears. So overload, it'll help me immensely if I know what the fucking overload is, because I don't know what that is, and I can't.
You're absolutely reading too much into it. Say it out loud.
Overload. He's overload. He's got too much.
Exactly. What I think was the setup for when he was losing weight.
And he had 40.
This is the callback.
Too much. Okay.
This is the callback, I believe. On a downhill road, and he already possibly doesn't have much in the way of fucking brakes. So you're overloaded, which already means your stopping distance has fucking catastrophically fucking shortened. So now you're
a runaway train right now.
Right now, gravity is throwing you, and you're slapping through the gears. That's probably coming down through the gears, which is the double clutching that we talked about.
And that's to maintain a wee bit of order in what is becoming an uncontrolled descent.
Now, this is it. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Well,
you stuck the landing there, 10 points, fucking Olympic gold to Jerry McBride for that one.
Well, I got to tell you, Tom, if I was over my weight limit on a downhill road, doing all I could to keep this yoke on the road, do you know what I wouldn't be doing? Fucking sending Snapchats of what I'm at to everyone on the beer. Get your phone out of your hand there.
You see, I think we've gone back to the field now. I think let's park the gears, the downhill bit. Let's go back to the field with no lights. And we're in the field with no lights. We're driving around, fucking yoke is roasting, diesel light on the dash. I can guarantee you, if you had I don't know what ways, I don't operate on Snapchat, but if it was like TikTok or hashtags on fucking Instagram, I guarantee you, or if you even looked up hashtag diesel light, I guarantee you the amount of Irish latter teen to mid 20-year-olds that have put that picture up on a Saturday night while they know all their friends are out on the beer. The lads who work on, mushroom farms, fucking 9-to-5s. I'm gonna real quick just look up hashtag diesel light on Instagram. It's the only thing that I have to hand here now. Hashtag diesel light. Fewer than 100 posts, but few like that. It's all young lads, but it's all young lads having a good time. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's not. Cut this from the podcast, Tom. There's no. Do you know what? You know what? You went into Instagram. We are already circumventing what fucking Marty's already told us. It was Snapchat all along. You know what? Okay. Why did we jump straight into fucking? Listen to Marty. Listen to Christ Marty. Christ above. But again, this is the vocation of it. Everybody else is on the beer. All his pals is on his beer. His missus is on the beer. And he's sending Snapchats at fucking 2 a.m. that he's spinning around a field, with fuck all diesel. Yeah. Now, Tom, we go on here. Okay. Now, this has been mentioned earlier, and like I said, Paul Crowley could be brought in here for this one. So let me run it through you here, okay? I'm gonna go through it. Hit the jewel to low, and I started to roll. All wheels in the air. It was my chance to grease the nipples. I never knew was there. Now I've got... This is poetry fucking... my good squares. God. Stony grey soil of Monaghan. This is fucking incredible right now. That we have not only... we've transcended into a fucking world here that cannot possibly be fucking just wrapped up in one podcast. We could have started a whole podcast series on this song, by the way. But this bit right here is like, oh my God. Like,
Do you want me to take a stab at it, Tom?
you would, please, yeah.
It's real simple. I don't know what the jewel to low is. I don't know what that is. But
that was mentioned already in the podcast. There's people who have listened with a cuter ear than you have. Although you very cute ears, I have to say, Jake. But it was mentioned earlier in the episode. So
all right, okay. If I missed it, I missed it. Okay. I'm assuming it's some sort of fucking Knight Rider turbo boost. Just going by what he's mentioning here, that it's some sort of blast of power to get a job done quicker. So he hits the jewel to low. Now he starts to roll. Okay, now we're cooking. Now we're going places. And in my mind, he's going so fast that the tractor is, if you're driving fast on the road, you would say, I was only touching the road in places. You were going so fast. You're like a fucking car in the Beano that you're literally floating off the fucking road. But I'm reading into this that Marty is going so fast that the tractor is hopping off the ground so much that he literally has time to get out of the tractor. That's how fucking fast it's going. And go underneath the tractor. It is literally in the air for so long that he can go underneath it and grease some bearings and joints underneath it. And not only just the ones that he fucking knows to get to. He's under there for so long that he's finding new nipples to grease. And fuck it, I can get all them done. And still get back in the cab of the tractor before it hits the ground.
Now, tell me that isn't some Inception level fucking incredible fucking writing right there.
Is that what it is?
That's it. That is it.
Okay, and I'm sorry I skipped by the jewel to low, because what is the jewel to low? Is that
we go back to that's
like a turbo
that's
or something?
No, that is a dual gearbox, one with a low box. Do you know what? I think those
box and the low box. You did.
I think those two lines. And I hit the jewel to low, and I started to roll. Park it there. Stop. Punctuate. New fucking scenario. All wheels in the air. The new vehicle. Let's say the jewel to low is the truck. He's got fucking a ton up. He's struggling. He's in a wet old fucking yard somewhere. It's all fucking muck and shit. Hit the jewel into low. I started to roll. Fucking sigh of relief once I get her rolling.
Yeah, we're going by.
Take off the fucking rain jacket, throw it in the back. Fucking on we go. Roll a fag and off you go. Park that. Because now we're into all wheels in the air, because this is another journey. Imagine these as scenes. You're just cutting over and back to scenes. So now we've cut to Marty driving a fucking tractor, clipping so fast, all wheels in the air. Now, to explain this to anybody going, grease and fucking nipples, you joke me. How kinky is this shit? A lot of vehicles, agricultural vehicles and construction vehicles, unlike your own car, for the most part, all you will need to do is top up oil into the oil reservoir. Now, sometimes you may have to top up a hydraulic oil for the brake system or the power steering system. But if you're doing that, you've got a bigger problem than just fucking leaking. You've got to get that sorted.
Right.
So for the most part, any engine oil that's needed, pour it in the reservoir, sorts it out itself. Some of these vehicles...
Could I just say I'm having such a fucking great time?
I would have a way more fun than I thought I would. Way more fun. I thought
I was going to have a lot of fun.
And this is it. But I genuinely thought we'd be done with this in 20 minutes and go, how the fuck are we going to string this over fucking at least 45 minutes to an hour? Jerry McBride, we are over 2 hours into this. Jesus, Mary and Joseph's. So a lot of these components, i.e. you'll see the hydraulic rams that can lift up fucking the arms at the front, the arms at the back. They don't have a new reservoir that you can go to in a lot of cases. They just have these little things, quite literally, hidden, but a person who's in charge of that vehicle should know where every one of these little ducts where you put a grease gun onto and you pump in grease. Now you'll always have, it looks just the very same pretty much as the one you'll see for your silicone or caulking around your tiles and whatnot. Looks very similar to one of
and
them.
the nipple would look. I've seen nipples. It's like it looks like a nipple, Tom, with a little ball bearing in it.
Exactly.
But if you're struggling with what that would look like, then it would look like a smaller version of how you would pump up a bike.
What it looks like is a giant version of a ballpoint pen, is what it is.
Yes,
in that the little ball in a pen is the same way as a bearing. It only allows out a little bit. It won't allow really out any grease, but it's spring loaded, so that when you put your sealed fucking grease gun up to it, grease will drive into it. Yeah, because they will invariably overuse heat and just leakage of seals, because seals are yet again another consumable thing that only when they fucking go, not when they're going, when they go, that's when you'll get when you'll change it. So you will lose. So grease in the nipples, and like that, lads, that's a little punchline just there. That's for people who know to give each other that elbow and go, remember that fucking time we fucking found that thing under the teleporter? Who fucking knew it had a nipple?
Who knew that was there?
That's that moment. That's what gamers would call an Easter egg.
And that's what it is. So Marty is proposing a situation that he has hammered it so fast that he can actually get out like fucking Quicksilver in the X-Men and just fucking...
Exactly. Quicksilver, or who knows? He's reached a higher state of consciousness where he's passed between worlds, and it's almost like the man in the high castle. You know what I mean? He is literally fucking stepping in and out of dimensions because he's in such a place of happiness. All the world has aligned for Marty in this moment. He couldn't be happier.
Now, Tom, let's just take that, but let's just imagine it's not that, and read this a little bit different, because as we learned,
it's
in all gravy. Is it possible that when he started to roll and put all wheels in the air, that he's actually cowed the tractor over onto its side here, that he's crashed the thing?
I thought that, and I would nearly hope that he would have found another. I would imagine he hit her until. So let's go that way, because I have read it two ways, but I way prefer the fucking trans-dimensional one. But let's go. You're absolutely right. To hit it in low, she started to fucking roll because there wasn't enough synchronization in the gearbox to hold it. It rolled fucking backwards, and sure, look it. And like you that, she ended up in a big old fucking hole. Tits and arms in the fucking air, and just went, sure, while you're there, love, I may as well graze your nipples.
It was my chance to graze the nipples. I never knew it was there. Meaning to say, I'm stood here, tractor arse up in the air, like a duck on its back, and nobody's coming for me for an hour, so I may as well pass the time by some tractor maintenance.
I've read it. I have read it that way before when I heard the song for the first time, but really, I just, when I saw the lyrics up in front of me, I just went, you know what, fuck it.
I
really hope it was, but I fear you may be right. I only fear I may be right, because we've got nothing good stretching out in front of us here, Tom. Need some sleep and new teeth for digging and dozing in muck. Now he needs some sleep, because the man, by my last count, is getting about 3 hours of restless sleep. Because if he's not in a tractor on his way to a job, he's on his tractor on his way home from one. Yeah.
So he needs some sleep. He needs new teeth. Now, we're not talking about teeth. He's not going to Turkey for new teeth. He's not going for veneers.
No, I don't believe he's going for veneers.
I had initially read it that he needed new teeth in his mouth, because he's in a rattly tractor all summer, and it has literally, he's literally broken his teeth from rattling around the place. Because I've been in some tractors, Tom, and in JCBs and such, and you would need a gum shield for when you hit a fucking... it's not like suspension, like you hit a bump and you feel it, you grit your teeth, you get it, so. But it seems that he just needs new teeth, like you would need for a digger. So this is a third vehicle that Marty Mone is now. He's jumping all over this.
Because, and I will tell you,
a digger now.
I will tell you that chances are 70% of the lads that do this for a living, they can drive all three of these vehicles and loving them equally. And they have a jacket / free polo shirt that they got at the Ploughing Championship to match all three. Yeah. I've seen this with my own. I was there 2 years ago hosting a thing for God, I can't even remember. I was hosting a thing, I had a lot of downtime in between the hosting sessions that I had to do, and I went walking. And a friend of mine, I believe, you've definitely met her husband. Her father has bought they're from Clonus, and they bought Red Rock a couple of years ago. Not the TV3 show about guards. No, but he took it to a new level, brought in some engineering, brought out buck rakes that you ain't never seen before, brought out some cool merch, i.e. fucking cool fucking merch, a lot of merch. Well, I made every intention to go up to this gentleman because I would have met him at their wedding. I could not get past the fully grown absolute swarm of fanboys that were queuing around just to talk to this man about fucking machinery. Like, phenomenal. It was their time to fucking... This was Comic-Con. It is Comic-Con for people who own wellies. That's what it is, Comic-Con. Like, and that's for some reason it seems to be almost kind of a lifestyle that's poo-pooed, you know. But all of a sudden, because of Marvel and all these other things, they've made it cool to be a nerd now. And Comic-Con is like awesome. Well, for these lads, they couldn't give... If Jason Momoa could have been fucking doing push-ups over there, they didn't give a shit. They wouldn't have given a shit. They could have had Tony Stark actually come in the suit, fly in the suit. But unless it had fucking Husqvarna on the back of it, they would not have given a fuck. Like, I just keep on having to reiterate how much this means to these lads. So everyone, but you're 100% right. It's new teeth for the digger bucket, which do have to be replaced.
Of course.
Especially when, if you're doing a lot of digging of rock, you will wear those teeth down. Sometimes they'll snap. They'll actually fucking snap. This can be up to fucking 2 inches of steel can actually snap. That's the kind of power you're talking about here. And if you've got a gummy bucket, it's no good to fucking nobody.
No good to be nobody for digging and dozing in the muck. I mean, Marty's like spreading himself thin here. I don't know how he has time to fucking reclaim a whole bunch of land or do a bit of quarrying here when he's fucking mowing, lifting, sowing, baling 24 hours a day. In case it rains, Tom, what does he need in case it rains? He needs an owl chain lining up. Now, Google Lyrics has given me OWL chain, but I'm not going to spend
it what it is. You know what it is. Every good truck
chain might be.
Every truck will have a good owl chain.
A good owl chain.
With a hook probably on either end of it, you know, just for lying in the truck. So there you go, dozing in the muck in case it rains. So in case it rains, more so in the tractors. If it does rain, you get buried and your diff does not fucking work. This is actually a really poignant line right here because the whole name of the song is Hit the Diff. If the diff... And pray. And if your prayers and your diff don't sort you out, this is what I was talking about. Go get somebody with a bigger fucking thing, i.e. in the back of the truck, they'll have an old chain. They'll have an old chain and a truck will pull you out all right.
I mean, like, it's pessimistic at best, Tom.
It is, but the good Boy Scout always is prepared.
Yeah, he's always prepared, but like already, as you say yourself, he's already casting doubts on the abilities of his diff and God.
True, but we do live in Ireland. This isn't the fucking Arizona farming channel. This is one of the... We actually have, I mean, mutual friend Jimmy Elliott has, you know, made a career out of talking about bogs. An American guy talking about fucking bogs. We have a lot of wet soil here just pouring into the middle of this country. So chains are needed. Chains are fucking... You know what? They're like so many things. It's like, you know, you buy a gun for protection in America, you keep it under the bed. You never want to use it, but it's nice to know it's there, Jerry. You know what I mean?
Could we read into it that these are Marty Mone's chains, just like Jacob Marley's chains?
It goes to Christmas silage.
Goes to silage past that, like, these are the fucking chains of the past. Like, you know,
change your ways.
You know, I don't think we need to go that deep into it because I don't think Marty did. I think he has an actual chain in the back of a truck.
Yes, he does. Yes, he fucking does. Yes, he does. And you'd be ashamed to get caught and not have one. The shame. Lads have buried machinery just out of the shame of not having a way of getting yourself out. They've just gone, fuck it, and denied any knowledge of the situation.
Cover it over.
Cover it over. Bury it the fucking thing, because I do not... the shame. I once saw a guy turn up to a garage, Gerry, and this was just phenomenal. He turned up to a garage with the breakdown truck. This was look, I'm not shouting from the patriarchy, but there are times as a fucking man that you have to fucking hang your head in shame, and because you are a man, and that is the card you were dealt. This guy turned up with the breakdown truck after driving his Maserati, his 3-month-old Maserati, for 40 miles with the oil light on. He sees the fucking engine, and he showed up. I would throw a fucking match into it, walk away, and report
say it was robbed.
And say it was robbed. Before, can you imagine showing up to a professional mechanic and with a big goofy head and saying, I just seized my engine? Like, everything in me just wanted to just go, excuse me, have you got your man card in your wallet? Because I'm just tearing in front of you.
Tear that up.
You're done. You're fucking done.
You're not going to catch Marty like that, because...
Are you?
Whatever the fucking weather, he has a chain in the truck for it, Tom.
You're goddamn right he does.
He's got big chains and wee chains. He launches into a little reprieve. You think he's going into the chorus here when he says climbing, liming, mixing, piping. So he's doing several jobs here. Climbing, I guess he's climbing a steep hill, I suppose.
I guess climbing. I mean, he could have gone into construction here instead of climbing scaffolding. Who knows? I mean, it's such a broad term. I personally, I do think you're right. I think he's
not. Yeah, but Tom, I don't think he's fucking climbing the corporate ladder here. He's climbing the charts, Tom. He's climbing the charts. He's climbing. He's liming. No, the lime is not like not a splash of lime in your fucking gin and tonic. I fucking hate lime, Tom.
Oh man,
I hate lime.
I still have cracked knuckle skin many years later from the dermatitis I got from lime. Yeah.
Like, what addition is lime to a farmer?
It balances the acidity. So if you have an overly alkaline, so you would often bring out, say Tommy Tiernan's father was an agricultural advisor. Okay. In the same department, you would ask for lads who did ag science in college. They would come out and they would do soil tests around your farm. Before you would go, you would say, this is before you go to seed. Okay. And they would say, so you know...
I said okay there, Tom. I was like, I don't fucking know what that
okay,
is.
So you ploughed it.
Before you go to seed. Right, yeah, gotcha.
You ploughed it. You possibly... You've ploughed it and you've harrowed it and you've rolled it or whatever and you've seeded. But this is to test, maybe even test it while the grass is on it to see what it might need throughout the year. And say you come back with an overly alkaline, as per the water table may dictate, or as per what the crops you've been growing on it, you've ended up with a fucking overly alkaline crop, or soil. Well, what you'll do is quite literally, like you'll see the little spreaders guys have for lawns. And that's what it is. Guys will go with lime. Driving through Offaly, the back roads of Offaly between Burr and Nina one time, how I didn't end up in a 10-car pile-up as a result of a guy liming, but the wind caught up. And pretty much, we're talking, you could not see beyond your windscreen wipers, let alone in the middle of the day, just came around the bend to what I knew was a straight. And thank God I had a hitch on the back of the fucking Land Cruiser I was driving at the time, because a guy just tipped me. Well, would you believe it? His own Land Cruiser. And we crawled and just whoever was on the back, whoever was on the six, it was like fucking Vietnam coming through looking for fucking Colonel Kurtz. It was terrifying for about fucking 5 minutes, which is a journey that should have only taken like 20 seconds this straight, because this guy was liming like fucking crazy in over this hedge in a field, and it was like crop dusting that was just sitting there in the air. Shut all the vents.
I fucking love the way, Tom, you were there, like, you know, yeah, I was in my Land Cruiser and I got hit by another guy in his Land Cruiser. Would you believe it? Would I believe two Land Cruisers would hit each other in the country? Yeah, I believe that. I don't struggle with that.
Okay, all right. I've owned a few Toyotas in my time. What can I say?
Come here. He goes on to say he's climbing alignment, mixing piping. Now, we talked about piping earlier, and we didn't know whether it was like piping slurry or was he piping the little tunnels that I thought it was.
I would love if it is that. And again, there's a lot of agri boys that listen to this podcast, a lot of agri lads and girls that listen to this podcast. I would love some of your feedback if we've gotten it totally fucking wrong. The piping, I've given the 3... Well, the piping, I mean, here we go.
He's piping again. He's
now,
second form
who's
of
to
piping.
say this piping? He hasn't said anything about spreading piping. He may actually be using said digger to do groundworks, and he may be laying drainage.
Well, all I'm saying is here he's saying that he's piping after the field is cut, which would be pipe and slurry, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. You're right, actually, you're right.
I get the piping you're talking about as well, the big yellow land drainage piping.
Could be, or could, yeah. I think you're right, though. Piping after the field, because, of course, they've punctuated and there's a capital on the after. Yeah. So after the field is cut, yeah.
He will be piping after the field is cut. And this is the last one, Tom. Now, throughout all this, I hope I've displayed, if not the exact knowledge of what we were at, I've been wrong on a lot of things. But I like to think that I was like nearly there on most of these things.
You were. A couple of things you were amazingly there on. Yeah.
When we get to this, from day one to right now, I haven't got a fucking clue what Marty Mone means by the lines. There's many's a gap you won't get at without 6,000 foot. Help me out, Tom.
So
let's go. What the fuck is Marty talking about here?
So let's get back to the umbilical cord.
Right.
So you get into a big field. The farmer
Yeah.
says to you, I need you to do that field. And see all those satellite fields around it? I need you to do all those too.
Okay.
And you turned up with your 3,000 foot pipe. Well, what won't you get at? What won't you get at if you've got less than 6,000 foot?
You won't get that many's a gap, Tom.
Damn fucking right you won't. Goddamn right you won't. Because the big boys turn up with 6,000 foot. Because they spent a few quid last fucking winter. They got the 6,000 foot pipe. Because it's 3,000 foot, it's Mickey Mouse shit. Literally Mickey Mouse shit. You got to get out the 6,000 foot pipe. That's when that's spreading, cutting, piping, fucking clutching. That's when you're going hard or going home. You turn up with 6,000. Who the fuck turns up with 3,000? This is the major leagues, bitch. And that's it. That's what the big boys bring. They turn up with 6. Nobody shows up with 3,000 foot. Not unless you want to get fucking laughed out of. And that's a phrase that you'd say, you go, you won't get that fuck off. You're wasting your time, is essentially what he's saying. You're turning up to a fucking gunfight with a knife. That's what you're doing. With anything less than 3,000 fucking foot. Or 6,000 foot.
In the interest of getting fucking laughed out of it one last time, Tom, I may as well tell you what I thought Marty Mone was saying.
Yes. Oh, yes. Go on. Were you thinking in elevation? That was you thinking like climbing Everest 6,000? No. Okay. All right.
No. I thought that what he meant by a gap, I meant by that he meant like a little sort of jut in of a field, or like, where the field stops being a field and starts becoming, access to a gate or what have you. A little jut in.
Okay.
And if you wanted to cut all the grass in the field, including the grass that was in the gap, a tractor isn't like a vacuum cleaner that you can just get into that little gap and get that little bit of grass. So you need a run up to it, Tom. You need a good run up to it. About 6,000 foot of a run up to it.
I fucking knew you were going to. Oh, bless.
God bless me, innocent.
God bless you.
I thought it was like, all right, there's a gap coming up in here, and I want to mow that as well. And I'm going to have to start my run up to it now, a mile away.
Do you know what? The wording of it, when you do read it, to forgive you, the wording of it, there's many a gap you won't get out without 6,000 foot of a run up. Yeah, yeah. but it's coded. He hasn't, like so many things in this. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? 6,000
If you know, you know. But like I say, the reason why I didn't know what Marty was talking about is because he's talking about shit I didn't know fucking existed.
Well, it's if I turned
so
around
much I didn't know about agriculture, it would appear.
Hey, listen, you know what? I'm pretty sure you've probably been a bit smarmy yourself in your day when somebody walked in and go, could I get a 2x4? Because they saw it on telly.
Really? Yeah.
You go,
yeah.
No, we don't have any. We don't fucking have any. Are you fucking joking me? Yeah.
We've plenty of 4x2 out there.
Dipshit.
One last time, Marty launches us into the chorus there, Tom. That joyous chorus of mowing, lifting, sowing, baling. Even though everything he's talking about so far has been like at best zero crack.
Oh man, you don't get it.
Outright fucking miserable.
You don't get it, Jerry. This
song is not as joyous as I thought it was. This is, you know what? I came into thinking this was a joyous celebration of agriculture, whereas in actual fact,
it's hardship. It's hardship. It's what it is. It is hardship. But you know what? It's hardship veiled in the fucking love of fucking the grind. You know what I mean? You're not putting these guys in an office. You're not putting these guys in a fucking HR environment where they're going to fucking, I'll get back to you on that one, Steve. You're not putting these lads in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They're not pushing the envelope. You know? They're not whatever other office. They're not. These guys
they're illegally hauling 40 ton of grass.
Yeah. And they're getting it done. That's what you do. You get it fucking done, Jerry. You
with
get
with little or no control of the machinery they're sitting in.
Up 3 steps to fucking heaven. There you go. Up there, 200 horsepower, good, bad, or indifferent fucking yoke. Once you've a kind of easy start and a fucking heavy foot, you'll be fine. These guys are getting it done, Jerry. These are the real deal.
Well, there's one last line we have to turn to, Tom. When he comes to the end of it here now, hit the diff and pray that she goes all the way. I can't not sing it.
Of course.
When I'm flat to the pot with the party hats, I'm heading for the tate. They thought that we were quitting because the summer doesn't last, but we're heading to New Zealand where the crack it only starts.
Antipodean fucking laws.
There's something about this, Tom, because when this song came out, I think it's like around about 2012 or thereabouts. Am I right in saying that?
Must be. Yeah, easy.
Now, I know that there was like half the nation was emigrating because the country was on its hole at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Something very sad about this now. I mean, like, Marty's off to New Zealand with the half of the fucking young lads of the nation who went down to Australia, New Zealand and Canada because it was the only place in the world that you get of it. And I know a lot of boys that went to Australia. And I know a lot of boys that have never come home and probably will never come home, Tom.
It's like the song "The Flight of the Earls," you know.
It really is.
Our greatest export is also our saddest.
It is also our saddest. So there's a poignancy to the end of it here now that Marty is. The summer's over.
Yeah,
he's not quitting, but he can't go on here. He has to go elsewhere. Maybe this is why he doesn't fucking get back onto the woman until Christmas because the Hoover's down in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Then hitting diffs in Auckland is what he's doing.
Fucking right. He is ripping around Hobbiton. That's what he's doing. He is fucking mowing. He's mowing the top field of fucking Bag End. That's what he's doing.
He's driving Bag End into the fucking ground, so
he's ploughing fucking the Eye of Sauron and out of it. He's fucking got a chain around the fucking base of Saruman's fucking tower and he's pulled it down.
There's a sadness to this, I think, as well, Tom. Marty Mone, because again, like, you know, he would be, to look at the man, he looks to be about our age, like late 30s, early 40s, there or thereabouts. I know you're a bit younger than me. Marty looks a bit older than me, so I'm like, we would have been in school together, but not in the same class, if you know what I mean.
When you sleep 3 hours a night, that man might be only 22. You know what I mean?
That's how you can tell. That's the difference between Marty Mone and Richie Remo, because Richie Remo looks like a fucking soft hands that was never on a farm when he's like...
Yeah, he does. Like Richie Remo, that man has moisturizer. He's greased nipples, but not the mechanical guy.
Yeah, he's fucking greased his own. Yeah, there's something about that, Tom. The summer doesn't last, but we're heading to New Zealand where the crack only starts. And I do hope that Marty, if he went to New Zealand with the lads to mow, lift, sow and bale down there for a while, that he had a bit of crack. That the crack was only starting.
Oh, come here. I'm telling you now. You see, it's chasing. It's chasing the dragon is what it is, Gerry. This is an addiction lads have, and they will have up till the day they die. You see, you can look at this from a very melancholy point of view, and you're going, well, this is fucking hardship through and through. These guys love hardship. I have seen fucking agri mechanics under 40-ton fucking diggers in fields in Longford where the muck was fucking 2 foot of shit. There's grease pouring down into their mouth as they're fucking dropping a sump out of a thing. At 11 o'clock at night, it's -2. There's rain blowing in the side of their fucking ear. And they've got fucking Highland country sounds from down your way playing flat out of the van beside him or the Jeep beside him. And they couldn't be happier. And they say things like, Jesus, there must be easier ways of making a living. And you're going, but you wouldn't do it.
There fucking is easier ways.
But they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it because these lads are different type of human. And heading to New Zealand, you mean, hold on, this is like in your younger days, Ger, and you're on the sauce and the beer is going down great. And even at closing time, 2-3 o'clock in the morning if it's a late bar, at closing time, you still find you've space. You've space for more beer. And that fucking goo is on you where you can't go home because you've neither chick nor child, you don't have to go home. You're saying, what do you reckon is next, lads? And all of a sudden, somebody says something amazing like, boys, fucking have it back to my place. There's a little rake of beer. I have a fucking rake of beer. And what do? You all fucking pile into an old minivan and you head back to his spot and the crack
only fucking
starts again because now you can start singing out loud, fucking tops off, having the fucking crack. And you're not thinking about fucking tomorrow. You're thinking about fucking the moment you're living in. Can I get smokes? Can I get Lucasade? And is there a fucking tractor for me to drive down New Zealand? And are all the boys going? Because you all speak the same language. You talk the fucking talk. You want to hang with your own tribe. And then you're going down to New Zealand to do it. You mean, so we can just stay in continuous state of summer? A continuous state of summer.
You know, when you say they talk the fucking same language, Tom, I doubt there's any fucking New Zealand guys there going like, yeah, mate, it was my chance to grease the nipples, so I did not know it was there.
I was hunting with the party hits.
With the party hits. Too, bro.
There's money a cup. You work it out with us 6,000 foot. What's that in meters?
You know, if you're in a predicament, you just got to hit the different pride, bro.
It's like I'm made out of rocks.
That's my New Zealand.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I, of course, will play the chorus on the end of this, even though I'll get pulled so much way to wrap up this podcast. Gerry McBride, this has been a fucking gargantuan effort. It wasn't an effort at all. It was fucking crack from beginning to end. But we have done the longest podcast I have ever done.
We've done the Lord's work here, Tom.
I genuinely thought this was going to be a struggle. I thought we will not get long out of this. We will literally be hitting the diff about 20 minutes in and going, how are we going to fucking plow on through this? And little did I know, close to 2.5 hours later, it took us to dissect a fucking epic song.
I'm a changed man at the end of it, Tom. Like, I came into this all fucking sunshine and roses, and this is a great song, and I'd love to put it on when I'm running, and I really get the blood flow. But next time I hear this fucking song, I'm just going to stop and stare into the distance, thinking of all the fucking hardship these boys go through.
As one ear you have hit the diff, and the other ear would be, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much for making this list, making the effort, and it has been a fucking monster. One more time, Gerry McBride and Tom O'Mahony hit the diff to play us out. Marty, I'm sure you won't mind. Thank you very, very much. God bless, and mind your nipples.
Sowing, baling, drawing, hauling, number breaking, backing, stacking, plowing, crashing, tipping, wrapping, dildos flapping, sucking, diesel, cutting, trucking, spreading, piping, double clutching, spinning, sliding, digging, rigging, raring, tearing, losing, win. Oh, hit the diff and pray that she goes all the way. When I'm flat to the mat with the party hats, I'm heading for, they'd say. They thought we were quitting. Well, when the sun went down.
There you have it, if that isn't a good enough explanation for what went on in that song, I don't think they're not a happy person if they're not getting a good explanation from that.
And people would tell you that learning isn't fun, Tom.
I can honestly say too that we have actually had much like you'd get a coroner's report, or why you'd maybe get something carbon dated if you were after finding a tooth of a saber-toothed tiger underneath a fucking foundation or something.
You went to the source, that's right. You went to the hit maker himself, Mr. Marty Mone, and what did he have to say for it? Other than sue the fuck out of us.
He absolutely loved, more than anything, I think he loved our enthusiasm throughout the entire thing. He couldn't believe that we knocked that long out of it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it took him that long to write it, and I can tell you to date, he's still making money off our podcast. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but we've been tagged a bunch of times, and I can only applaud him. He's using our descriptions.
He needs to teach us that trick, Tom.
I think his latest song was actually inspired by our enthusiasm for that episode that we did. And
I do believe I've seen that song on his album called "Podcasting in the Shed." Podcasting spelled PODCASTIN apostrophe podcasting in the shed.
Podcasting.
But look, there you go, guys. It's a bonus episode from Buckshot for the Tom and Gerry audience. And with that, that's it, Tom. You're never going to hear from us again. That's it. We're done. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
Is that really your final answer, Gerry?
Could possibly be, Tom.
Might
you know what
possibly
you wanted? Yeah. Well, you know what? The only way to find out if Tom and Gerry Show is ever going to come back, Tom, you know what it is? Follow us on Twitter at Tom and Gerry Show, Gerry with a G. You'll find the other pair of us on social media one way or another. That'll also get us on Instagram, I believe. Facebook, if you're still on it. I don't think we're even on Facebook.
We're not on Facebook.
Our aunts and uncles, maybe. But other than that, those you will find us on those links. And if Tom and Gerry Show Season 5 ever does manifest, I'm not saying it will, you'll find out about it first there.
Before we absolutely head off over the hill into the wilderness, I do have to give a shout out, and we do have a prize winner, Gerry. I think we don't have any choice. Of course, it is the one and only Dave Walsh, who pretty much wrote. Now, there have been unbelievable comments come through, some class comments, but Davey stuck with like an 80s themed action movie description of every single episode, and you've no choice. We've no choice. It's legally binding that we have to give the guy a present.
It'd be cruel not to.
It would be cruel not to.
I understand there's a little something in the post for him, yes?
There absolutely will be a little something in the post for the great Davey Walsh.
And hey, you know what? If the rest of you would like some exclusive Tom and Gerry Show merch, follow Dave's lead and drop us a comment, drop us a review. 5 stars, please. 4 stars is not going to bump us up the algorithm all that much. We're not egomaniacs. Well...
Oh, no, we're absolutely egomaniacs.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. This is nothing to do with our egomania. This is to do with bumping us up the Apple Podcast charts and all that. 5-star review, say we're good. And if nothing else, tell your friends. Cost you nothing.
There you go. So, till possibly the next time. Look, God bless and thanks.
Yeah,